I just finished reading Roland Martin's White Fear, or How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. And let me tell you something, friends. This is one of the most powerful books of our time. The United States as a whole was founded, built, and established on racism, on the purest level of racism. And I think that's something that every American should understand and acknowledge, especially my melanin deficient friends. This country would be a much better place empathetically. I never thought that a documentative book would expand my mind the way White Fear did. And I gotta say, this is not a sponsored video. I just had this book sent by one of my good friends. I read it and it blew my mind, so I have to share it with y'all. This book just hit me in a way that not many books have, and I've read a lot in college. Now, I've known most of the aspects in this book. It was just never explained to me or put on a table per se, the way Roland Martin did in this book. Now, I am going to use excerpts from this book to explain what White Fear is and the direction that this country is going in the next 2 decades. A direction that's making white people in the United States horrified. So, what is White Fear? We can take that question in many directions, but I think that there's only one way to explain this. White people are afraid of other races being in power in this country. They don't like anyone that isn't white involved in anything that can systematically change this country, especially when it's systemic change that is in the better interest for everyone, not just white people. White privilege is real. Systemic racism is real. And white ignorance is the driving force of both of those. And many white people don't even know this. Many of them don't even believe in it. Well, many Latinos, Hispanics, Asian people, and Black people will say differently. But Roland Martin broke this down perfectly, and I'm paraphrasing here. First, we have to understand White Fear. It is important to understand the insanity and the history behind it also. Without the proper knowledge of this, we will continue to be blindsided every time White Fear inevitably rears its head. So let's look back when White Fear really got its start. Slavery. The moment slaves were given freedom, the South became furious. January 31st, 1865, slavery was abolished. However, most slaves in those southern states didn't find out until June 19th, 1865, a day also known as Juneteenth. And that's just the beginning. Once Black men started being voted into Congress in the South, white people lost their minds even more, especially those motherfuckers down in Mississippi. Dude, once white people started screaming, too many blacks are being voted into Congress, that's gotta stop. White fear started brewing in Mississippi. And guess what? Since 1890, not a single African American has been voted into state office in Mississippi. Since 1890. But wait, there's more. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. White fear embedded its ugly head into the section of the town known as Black Wall Street. Black folks had everything there. It was one of the most prosperous African American communities in the United States. Seeing black people succeed? Well, y'all know that don't fly with white mother. This scared white people so much that they thought black people are going to start taking over everything and even enslave white people. I wish I was kidding. So you know what those white people did? They burned that whole section down. Burned it down because white fear was flowing through their veins. Central High School, Little Rock, Arkansas, 1957. Just because this high school was integrating 9 black students into their program, white fear emerged and had white people following them on their way to school, screaming at them, throwing racial slurs at them, spitting at them. I wonder whose grandma this is today, and if this is even alive. I would love to hear her opinion on this matter nowadays. Then there was the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. Black man influencing too many people? Even white people? He's gotta be stopped. Now, white fear took a hard grip on white people in the 1970s when schools started really integrating and even establishing mandatory busing to other non-integrated schools. Then we have some modern white fear, where Bill Clinton signed the crime bill into law in 1994. You remember that? That 3-strike rule? Oh, and Joe Biden was one of the main sponsors of that bill. Just for your information. The president that we have today has definitely snorted a line or two of white fear himself.
What's going on? Happy New Year's Eve, family. Happy New Year's Eve. I'm glad y'all here. How y'all doing? We here to talk about white fear, or better yet, the great replacement theory. White people are up in arms, and they've been up in arms for a while. And Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was one of the first ones to tell us about this, right? But they told us she was crazy. You know, we talked about this before, but we're going deep into this today because they told us she was crazy. But she ain't crazy now. Of course, they're not going to give her flowers, but that's what we do over here. We're going to make sure we tell the truth and give people their flowers, right? So I got a good New Year's Eve show lined up for you today. So I'm going to go ahead and do it like this. I'm going to under promise and see if I can overperform. It's 9:36 now. We're going to see if we can take it into the New Year's. We're going to see how long we're going to go. We're going to see if we can take this into the New Year's. Maybe, maybe not. I'm just letting you know now. If it don't go into the New Year's, I'm just letting you know now. But if it do, we here. So we riding out. But I got a good show for you lined up today. Of course, we started this show with this gentleman here talking about Roland Martin's book, White Fear. And basically, white people are afraid of the browning of America. So I have that video lined up for you. I also have a video of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing on the Donahue show back in 1988, talking about white people's fear of genetic annihilation and how they told her she was crazy in real time. So we're going to be able to see that. Then I have a video by Neely Fuller Jr. and it's titled "Is Killing Necessary?" and it's talking about how the white supremacists go about protecting what they stole. You know, I always say, if you build it, you must protect it. See, white supremacists understand that. Now, they don't build a lot, but they know if they steal it, they must protect it. So they will go to the greatest lengths to protect what they stole. Then we're going to go further into Dr. Marimba Ani, because she has a part in this, explaining Yurugu in her own words, right? And then I have two videos of white men, one white man who is debunking the great replacement theory, and another white man who is saying the great replacement theory is real. And the great replacement theory is similar to this white fear. It's basically a lot more theorized or a lot more academic. So the great replacement theory is what the media treats as a fringe conspiracy, but it is actually the unfiltered expression of a long-standing white supremacist fear: loss of numerical, political, and genetic dominance. This ideology didn't appear overnight. It is the modern language of an ancient society, right? They're afraid of competition. Remember, they have been working overtime to keep black people, black Americans. They've been working overtime to keep us down, to keep us divided, to keep us separated, to keep us crazy. Because remember, for the longest in America, we were the only of the majority group. Even though we're the minority, we were the only other group that they had to contend with. So in the past, all of their attention went directly to us. But now, because of this influx of immigration, and of course, they are against the huge influx of immigration. But remember, they started it. It's white folk fault. It's white folk own fault, right? And so now they talk about the browning of America. And I know in this video, he was talking about black people being a threat to white people, Asians, Hispanics, and stuff. Well, I mean, Dr. Claude Anderson told us what would happen to us. And I want to put this out right here, because a lot of people are talking about the fall of white supremacy. And remember, for one thing, we are 100% dependent on the system of white supremacy. So if the system of white supremacy fall, we're going to be in a world of trouble. But also, when other groups rise, they are our enemies as well. So if we don't put ourselves in a position of power when white supremacy falls, we will do nothing but become slaves to another group of people. And we'll be talking about the same issue just with another group of people. But tonight we're going to bring context to this great replacement theory. And these white supremacists, they see the end coming, and they gonna go out fighting. They like a trapping a rabbit raccoon in the corner. They frothing at the mouth, and they gonna do any and everything to make sure that they protect what they stole. Now, let me give you a quick summary of Roland Martin's book, White Fear. It says Roland Martin's White Fear argues that a deep-seated anxiety among white Americans about losing power and status due to the nation's changing demographics, the browning of America, has driven U.S. politics and culture for centuries, fueling racism, voter suppression, and backlash against Black Lives Matter. And he explores this phenomenon as a precursor to potential conflict, urging a path toward a more inclusive future. The book links historical and modern events, from the rise of Trump and restrictive voting laws to anti-BLM sentiment, as manifestations of this fear, presenting a historical primer on how white fear shapes democracy and culture. So that's the summary of Roland Martin's book, White Fear. And I'm gonna get back into the video, but of course I want to acknowledge my chat and my people. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Thank you for being here on this last day of this good year. Like I said earlier, I ain't promised you I'm gonna take this all the way to 1 o'clock, but we're gonna be here. I ain't promised you we're gonna get all the way there. So Amina Muhammad, my sister, how you doing? How you doing? Thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My man Terrell is in the building. Good evening to you. How you doing, my brother? Yes, you're right. They are afraid of dying out, and they've been knowing about dying out. Because wait till we get to Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's video, and she's going to mention literature that was put out at that time talking about white genetic annihilation and them being afraid because the numbers are shrinking. So, my man Uptight 24, how you doing, sir? How you doing? Yes, positive Wednesday, FBA vibes all day, every day. You know how we doing. Yes, yes, yes. Gregory Jones, Unc, Uja, the Neb African family. How you doing, my brother? Thank you for being here. You in the West Coast, straight West Coast. Now, how y'all doing over there? I'm South. I'm in the Southeast Coast. Well, more so Gulf Coast. I'm actually Gulf Coast. I'm Third Coast, Gulf Coast. I keep forgetting. I'm actually, yeah. Am I closer to the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic? I think I'm closer to the Gulf of Mexico than the Atlantic. Yeah, because the Atlantic like 2 hours and the Gulf of Mexico like an hour and a half. So yeah. Oh yeah, replaced by robots. I'm not okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Could you add some context to that? Islamic supremacists need to understand that we are holding what we're holding back right now. No, we are not afraid of being mad that our tax dollars are being blown away. Islamic supremacists. Okay, I ain't familiar with that. My man Nemesis X up in the building. How you doing, my brother? Greetings, greetings, greetings. What's the code? How you doing? What's the code? You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy today's show. Peaceful greetings to you as well. Says, better watch out here. Social demographics is my jam. We don't. Hey, let's go, my brother. Let's go. It's a fragile collective that creates a you will not replace us mindset and slogans to support their mythology and superiority. You already know Mr. Gregory Jones is in the building. How you doing? Said they've done everything possible and come up with more every day. They look at each other confused. Hey. But you know, like Nemesis was saying in our last live stream, you know, and like what PhD was saying the last time she was here. Remember, let's not just collect this information and champion our champions, but what are we learning from this? And how are we applying that into our everyday lives to improve ourselves? And that's what I want us to remember. And I want to say this early. What are we learning from this? And how can we incorporate that into our everyday lives? You already know what's the code is in the building. I love the book suggestions. Racial Matters by Kenneth O'Reilly. All right. So please hit that like button. Please hit that like button. We got 83 people in the building. Please, let's get 83 likes. These likes are free. That helps the algorithm. You know, YouTube be hating. YouTube is hating. Hold on, let me mute this. YouTube is hating real bad with the hold on. Yeah, YouTube be hating with the what they call it, the shadow banning. So please hit that like button. All right, so let's go ahead and jump back into this. Like I said, this is the video. This guy is giving his take on Roland Martin's book, White Fear. So let's get back into it. I appreciate y'all being here. I love you all. Please hit that like button and let's go. Let's get up in this chat. Let's have some good discourse in this chat. Let's be respectful in this chat. It's okay to disagree, but let's disagree respectfully. And let's do what we do. Love being black out here.
Don't get that twisted. Then we have the Shelby County versus Holder verdict of 2013, gutting most of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And, of course, the election of Donald Jessica Trump. We cannot forget that. Now, arguably, this is the most that white fear has ever been televised on national television here in the United States, and possibly has the most impact it ever had on white people expressing white fear. Now, let's make this clear. White fear has never left, and it probably will never leave. It'll inevitably, more than likely, become worse and worse. If January 6th, 2021 didn't express white fear at its finest, then brace yourself for the next 2 decades. As Mr. Martin states, the minority-majority shift will happen during that time. By the year 2043, Latinos, Hispanics, Asian people, and Black people will be the majority in the United States. White people will be the minority. And that is the main reason why white people are expressing white fear today. A land that they colonized and violently took over, they can't imagine not controlling it. Why do you think they're packing the courts with white right-wing judges? Why do you think they're trying to make voting so difficult in the South for minorities? Why do you think they're putting voting locations in super small buildings in predominantly black areas so these people have to wait for hours to cast their vote? Why do you think that is? Why do you think they haven't fixed the water problem in Jackson, Mississippi and in Flint, Michigan? They don't want to help minorities. They would rather them go away and disappear. That is white fear in its purest form. Now,
but it's for us to understand how the system of white supremacy works and understand how white supremacists work. Remember, they didn't bring us here to empower us. I'm gonna say it again, because I ain't gonna lie, I'm already on one. I'd have had my warm up earlier. I'm on one today. I ain't gonna lie to you. They didn't bring us here to empower us. They brought us here to be labor. They brought us here to be and remain a subordinate group. So listen to what he's saying, but place it into real world context, into our real position here in America. We were not brought here to be empowered in mass. They may pluck a couple of us off, but we were not brought here to be empowered by them. We were brought here to be their labor and remain subordinate to them. And all other groups of people will step on us for their position as well. Remember that. Says the admission he makes is that yes, white people will be the minority, but does not mention that numbers are not the issue. The issue is logistics, not raw. I'm just saying, because they've always been the minority, but look at the position of power that they are in. You're right, my brother. You are right. So let's let them keep going. I just want to put that out there. And thank you, Nemesis, for that comment as well.
Let's look at the year 2006. A young, inspiring senator decided that he was going to run for the highest office of the land. His name is Barack Hussein Obama, an African-American senator from Illinois. He ran a hell of a campaign and eventually won. We had finally gotten our black president and it felt good. I voted for him twice and I don't regret it one bit. But 8 years of Obama made white people very, very scared. This fueled white Republicans in 2010 to win both chambers of Congress. They could not stand the fact that a black man was running their little white country. So in 2016, they retaliated by putting Donald Jessica Trump into their primaries, him eventually winning the candidacy, which I still believe today that they did not expect.
White men, those extra radicalized, racist, white supremacist white men were on one against Obama back during his first presidency. You know, I've said it many times. I was working at the local health department here at the time, and when I was when I was coming back to work from my lunch break, I would tune into this AM station. It was this real right-wing AM station, and white men were railing on about the race war that is happening and how they have to protect America and how everybody's trying to take America from them. And this is during Obama's first term. So, yeah. Says his phrase was negative trends. This later became the modern phrase depopulation. Gotcha. Is that Nemesis? Is that the dude that wrote Birth Dearth? Or am I getting them mixed up? The book, because I know the Birth Dearth is talked about that as well. Wish they would stop calling Barack Obama an African American and instead calling him, hey man, but you know, you can't expect this white dude to be on the same thing as us. So, you know. Whites world population in the 1960s, 28% to 70% in 2016, 7% in 2026 now. Uriah, okay. What people voted for Mr. White people? Yes, a lot of white people voted for Obama. Obama had a gatekeeper named Obama. It's a lot. That Obama story go deep.
And then winning the whole thing, beating Hillary Clinton. During Trump's campaign, rallies, and even presidency, he became the face of white fear, the spokesperson, the alpha and omega. White people loved the shit he said. He said everything that he thought about behind closed doors. They didn't give a shit what he said, be it racist or the blatant mockery of a disabled reporter. They didn't give a f. White fear was officially front and center with Donald Trump as president, and with him now being out for 2 years, white fear is still here. It has not gone away. Not even a little bit. On November 8th, 2021, we found out that Joe Biden would be the next president of the United States. And I gotta say to y'all, I had 20,000 pounds of pressure off of my shoulder, knowing that Donald Trump would not be running this country further into the ground. But once we found this out, that's when white fear spiked and Trump used it to his advantage. The election was stolen. The election was rigged. That's all he was screaming, and he's still screaming it today. But it wasn't until January 6th, 2021 that white fear took a hard turn, a hard, violent turn on our Capitol steps and in our congressional chambers. Trump extremists stormed the Capitol in an insurrection to stop the presidential democratic process of transferring power from Trump to Biden. 5 people lost their lives that day. And for what? Because their dictator cultist lost? Because they thought it was a stolen election? No. It was because of white fear. It was because of white fear fueling all of those things. If white fear wasn't the fuel to this fire, this might have never happened. White fear is always a fuel ready to be ignited. And white people need to finally start understanding and looking in the mirror and asking themselves, how can I help? How can I help to end white fear? How can I encourage myself to be part of a change that is good? A change that is integrating different cultures that we can learn from and even enjoy. White fear and white ignorance.
But that's not why America was not built, and white supremacy was not built to truly integrate with other people and other cultures. Its sole job and sole mission is global domination. All right. So I'm gonna go back to this. Well, I say that white supremacy's sole job and sole mission is global domination. It is not harmony with others. Hence the word supremacy. It's not white equality. It's not white solidarity. It's not white cooperation. It's white supremacy. So I just want to put that out. I'm gonna let it finish. I just want to say that part.
Ignorance is something that I want my white friends and colleagues to understand that we need to get rid of it. We need to start fighting against it naturally and organically. People are people, and when we realize that we're the same on the inside, this might actually change. Now, here's my question, and I will see you in the comment section. Do you think white fear is real? Comment below, let me know. But if you need more leftist
well, hold on. Let me
content, then check out that video.
Basically, leftist ideas, left-leaning ideas, right? He sound like the white dude who vote Democrat and think that he really is doing black people justice. And he the white dude who don't know how to shut up and just shut up, right? So he want to come out and talk about it. But what he is doing is he's giving a summary, or he's been empowered by Roland Martin's book, White Fear. Hence Roland Martin. He's been empowered by Roland Martin's book, White Fear. And so he's out here giving his interpretation of what white fear is and how white people are reacting to it, right? So we just setting groundwork. All we're doing is setting groundwork. So we see what we're working with. So we got white people basically working to protect what they stole. And we're trying to gain an understanding of it. He thinks he have an understanding of it because he read Roland Martin's book. And remember, Roland Martin influences a lot of people. But I say, why go to a journalist to help us understand this true fear of genetic annihilation? Why go to a journalist when we can go to somebody who actually studied this stuff? And that's where Dr. Frances Cress Welsing comes in. And I found this video of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing on the Donahue Show, and she's basically talking about white people's fear of genetic annihilation, and she has a chance to interact with the white audience. So we're going to see in real time at that time Dr. Frances Cress Welsing giving her theories and her thoughts on the fear of genetic annihilation in a room of white people, and we're going to see how they react to it. So said this dude officially doesn't know what he's talking about, hasn't lived one day in the world of equality. He speaks to an existence that he's never existed in. Right. That's why we're going to the experts. He's about to talk about how white people are ignorant. The mention of January 6th using the word "our" capital steps. Hey man, you know. Oh, he's supposed to be one of the good ones. Yeah, they always act like they're one of the good ones. They always act like that because I say the right things, and Jerome is my friend, and Jerome comes over and watches football with me. So he sounds like the idealist who thinks that after evil races die, we all live in the same streets forever. Yeah. He don't understand. He don't know nothing about the history of the world. He don't understand. We're not the same. That's why I'm black and you're white. That's why I can enjoy the sun and you can't. That's funny. I suspect the white guy in the video trying to fool us. He is Roland. Yeah, Roland is a bowling ball shaped tether. Yes, he is. He is a teller. He's a bowling ball shaped tether. The white guy in the video learned from his mother and father, not Roland. They say, what's the definition? Steve Slender says, what's the definition of white fear? What's going on, O'Neal? What's going on? What Roland Martin's definition is, white people are basically, Roland Martin's definition of white fear is white people are afraid of the browning of America. They're afraid that they're losing power economically. Where it says, explores the phenomenon and precursor of potential conflict, urging the path toward inclusive future, politics, culture. But they're basically changing demographics had driven U.S. politics and culture for centuries, fueling racism, voter suppression, and backlash against Black Lives Matter. Basically he's saying he posed that the U.S. moves toward becoming a majority minority nation. The fear of losing racial dominance intensifies, affecting political and social actions. So that's I guess that's Roland Martin's definition of white fear. But I just want to set the tone with that. That's Roland Martin's thing, but we're going to get to the real thing. That's why we're going to the experts, right? And up first is the great Dr. Frances Cress Welsing and the fear of genetic annihilation, right? So Dr. Frances Cress Welsing exposed the fear of genetic annihilation long before it became a mainstream talking point. Neely Fuller Jr. broke down the logic and behavior of white supremacy as a global system of survival. Dr. Marimba Ani explained the cultural pathology and worldview that drives European domination and the fear of extinction. Now, in real time, right, we will be learning about the Great Replacement theory. And I'm gonna read it again, what I read earlier. What the media treats as a fringe conspiracy is actually the unfiltered expression of a long-standing white supremacist fear. Loss of numerical, political, and genetic dominance, which goes back to the Great Replacement theory. This ideology did not appear overnight. It is the modern language of an ancient society, of an ancient anxiety example. So that's what that's a little short into this Great Replacement theory. So basically, the Great Replacement theory is neither new nor fringe. The modern political packaging of a centuries-old fear deeply embedded in the psychology, history, and global behavior of white supremacy. What we are witnessing today is not the birth of an idea, but the unmasking of one that has always existed. And that's what Dr. Francis Cress Welsing is getting at. So please hit that like button if you haven't already. Thank you everybody for being up in here rocking with me tonight. Please hit that like button as we go ahead and get into this. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing on the Donahue Show. And they was wilding, but Dr. Francis Cress Welsing helped our own, and we're gonna get into it and we learning. So please hit that like button and let's do this.
We should say theory of color confrontation and racism. You call racism white supremacy. To be sure, a provocative and controversial theory on skin color and oppression. Well, I'm ready. So is this mostly but not exclusively white audience. Let them have it, Doctor. How? Boy, oh boy, you need an escort to get out of your speeches?
No, now let me just give you a little background. This paper was written approximately in 1969 and presented in 1970. It was written for a group of Black psychiatrists who were looking at racism.
Yeah.
It was also written because as a psychiatrist and working in a hospital trying to treat Black people and white people, but recognizing that the majority of the problems that Black patients had in a psychiatric hospital, when you took a history, you would run smack into racism. So I knew I had to understand racism to help solve the mental health problems of Black people.
Okay.
So out of my brain computer, putting in the question, why do we see this behavior? Why have we seen it for hundreds of years? So I thought about these two things, basically two facts, that even though the white population says that people of color are minorities, that it is the white population that is the minority on the planet.
That's the reality you're saying.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
That in spite of the fact that Black people, non-white people have heard over and over again, you're genetically inferior because you are non-white. That in reality, white skin is a genetic recessive status, not as said by Francis Welsing. Meaning that if you and I were to have a baby,
the baby would have color, and you make the contribution and I don't.
That white plus colored, well, wait a minute. It's not Francis Welsing that is concerned about the disappearance of white. Ben Wattenberg just wrote a book, The Birth Dirt.
And remember, listen to what she's saying and how she's saying, because they're not listening to her because they're being emotional and they're being incensed. But what she's saying is, I'm just telling you all what y'all people been saying. Y'all are dying off, and you're going to do anything you can to maintain your power and your position. So, yeah. You're right, Nemesis. She was shut down instantly.
There have been multiple articles in the newspaper talking about the decline of Western populations.
Yeah, here's the Washington Post, just to name one. We are a depopulation bomb, the withering of the Western world. Here, incidentally, this was the percentage of the West's population in 1900, the turn of this century, about 30%. This is where we'll be less than 10% in the year 2075. Here's where we are about today, 15. So we're not having babies.
So whites are not having babies, and there is the concern about white genetic annihilation. In other words, I look at, this is Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday holiday, and people will say, well, here's a man who talked about love. Yeah. Why was he killed? And I say that the deeper logic is, what if all Black and white people and non-white people and white people love? What would happen to white people? white would disappear. You see, just mix all of the people on the planet up
in other words,
together.
if race didn't matter, or if color didn't matter, it follows with the jet plane.
No, I'm not saying if it didn't matter. I'm saying that indeed, if there was a mingling of all of the people,
That's what I'm
because the
saying.
ability, okay, fine.
Absence of prejudice.
The ability, no, wait, don't confuse what I'm saying. I'm saying that if we mixed all of the people presently on the planet, stirred them up,
The white freckle-faced people would be gone.
Genetic recessive status would disappear.
Right.
And that if I did a survey and everybody didn't have to, face anybody, if I said how many people who are white want their children to be white, want their grandchildren to be white, want their great-grandchildren to be white, want their great-great-grandchildren to be white. And I've gone all over the country in England and asked this question. Yeah. Everybody wants the children and the generations to remain white. Yeah. If you do, then you have to do something to make sure that that happens. And I say that what the thing is that is done, and particularly in relationship to black non-whites, because we have the greatest genetic potential to cause white genetic annihilation.
Because you're the blackest.
Because we, right.
The most color.
Right. We have this ability to produce melanin pigment. We have more of it than anybody else. And so the most pressure is on black people. As a matter of fact, the black people learn, all non-white people over the world learn. If you're black, stay back. If you're yellow, you're brown, stick around. If you're yellow, mellow, white, right. I can go to England and the people can just say the same thing. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter whether, if you go to the Philippines, because there has been a confrontation of brown with white. Everybody knows the more pigment you have, the more pressure that is on you. Yeah. But they didn't understand why. I said the why is for the purpose of white genetic survival.
All right. And you're saying that blacks have no similar hidden subconscious anxiety about their blackness being undermined by the presence of white?
We don't have that fear. And I think that this is something that is not understood. You see, in other words, if I don't worry about, as a matter of fact, under white supremacy, the non-white people try to get lighter. You see, because the less pigment you have,
co-opting the values
less threat you are to white, and so the greater opportunity that you have.
Yeah. The mass inability of whites to live and attend school in the presence of non-whites, manifested by the patterns of black and white housing and education throughout this country, and indeed throughout the world, is seen, according to your thesis, in terms of the color confrontation thesis, as the apparent total psychological discomfort experienced by whites in situations in which they must daily face their color inadequacy when they confront their neighbors of color. You go on.
I predicted. Look, I wrote that in 1970. I said you cannot have integrated housing. You cannot have integrated schools.
You still believe that?
Well, I mean, the evidence. I always look at the evidence. If Mr. Black and Mr. White live next door to each other, they have the same job, the same income, the same car, the same furniture. Yeah. They both walk out of the house in the morning. Good morning, Mr. Black. Good morning, Mr. White. Yeah. But Mr. White is still looking, but you've got something that I don't have.
You're saying he's saying that subconsciously.
Right.
And so you see them all, they getting all bent out of shape, they getting all emotional. But what she's getting at is, first of all, when you put groups of people together, as much as we like to talk about this utopia, this world peace stuff, the world has always and forever will be a violent place. When you really look at history, when you really read history, you'll see how violent the world has been and still is. If a group of people don't see you as the same, they will do their best to conquer you. They will go to war against you. They will see you as their enemy. They will see you as expendable. And now, in this day and time where color matters, and remember, don't let white people play the game. White people, look at his face. White people created this color issue. I know, right? White people created this color issue. White people created this. And then they want to sit here and act like, oh, why we have a color issue? You motherfuckers know why we got a color issue. Y'all know why we got a color issue, because you created it. And then you want to sit there and play stupid. Like I never liked that. Like You all created racism, and then you want to turn around and say, why are we always talking about race? Because you created the problem. It's Hegelian like a mother. Like, come on, man. And what she's getting at basically is white people lack pigment. White people lack the hue. And they have all these things, but this one thing that they cannot get unless they breed with a black person. But also in breeding with that black person, if they do it in the wrong way, they will breed themselves out. So it's a catch-22. Because there's no way that a whole group of people, a whole race of people can have this insecurity. Yeah, right. But remember, look how they acting. Look how they acting now. But wait till we get to the end. Wait till we get to the further videos. Wait till we move along. Wait till white people start. Remember, we're talking about this great replacement theory, right? We're talking about it using 3 different words: white fear, the fear of genetic annihilation, and the great replacement theory. Why are we now in 2025 about to go into 2026 in 2 hours? We're going to 2026. Why are we talking about the great replacement theory if what she was saying at this time was so crazy? They didn't want to admit it, especially not in public. But look at us now.
All right, we'll give you a chance in just a moment.
Wait a minute.
Now, wait a minute.
Let's look at
They're
this.
nice people. You're really going to
Wonderful
like them, I
people.
promise you. You know,
Let's
once
look
in
at
a
this.
while, you know, a couple of them stop before they come up here, and you got
But
to keep an eye on
let's
them.
look at this. You know,
Go ahead, look at it.
very fortunately.
Now, let me just understand this. See, well, the reason they're groaning is, you know, that's an awful bad rap to take. Let me just arrogantly try and reword what I think you're saying. Now, don't get crazy. Let me say.
Please, I'm
Mr.
surprised.
White is looking at Mr. Black, and he's not consciously saying, don't you
Not
dare.
consciously.
So it is under here.
Not consciously. I mean, we could go on for 3 hours. Not
No, we can't.
consciously.
All right. All right.
Okay. I am saying that this behavior is at the subconscious level, and there's a lot of evidence. For example, just on Saturday, the New York Times had an article talking about the percentage of people who want a tan. 66%. I have the article if anybody wants to look at it later. 66% of white adults think they look better with a tan. 70% of white adolescents think they look better with a tan. What do white people? Ooh, I look so pale. Now, this is not something that Frances Welsing is putting on people. White females even say their ideal mate is who? Tall, dark, and handsome. Now, Phil, I mean,
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Just a minute. That whites do indeed desire to have colored skin can be seen by anyone at the very first signs of spring or summer, when they begin to strip off their clothes as many pieces as the law will allow, often permitting their skins to be burned severely in an attempt to add some color to their white, pale, colorless bodies, rendering themselves vulnerable to the dreaded skin cancer in the process. Most cosmetics also are seen as an attempt to add color to their skin. Such coloring makeup is even now being provided for the white male. Well, guess who has, you know what,
Right, Amanda.
this moment. And if you don't mind my saying so, I do. I put it on myself. I don't go to makeup. I have a shine on my nose. I've got to take, but I feel better with a little color. And I've got the whitest skin in the whole neighborhood. I'm telling you, no kidding. I'm not bragging. I'm saying as a matter of fact.
This is not, my discussion is not about making fun of white people. My discussion is trying to explain behavior. People come to psychiatrists.
I value your effort here.
Why am I doing this? For example, when I was a very small child, I wanted to understand why black men were lynched. I asked my grandmother and parents, why would this be done? And my grandmother gave a statement. She said something like, well, some people just want to act ugly. But that wasn't sufficient, as a psychiatrist.
May I interrupt for just a moment? Here's the read on that, and I know you want to add to this or make it just a little more complicated. The black male was lynched and often castrated because of the white male fear of the black male's, the myth is the black male's extraordinary sexual capacity. So he was lynched by frightened white males who feared that if he ever got anywhere near the white women, that somehow the white male would be a sex. Now, you want to add to
his sexual capacity.
And remember, that was paired, that white man fear and needing to cut off the black male genitalia was paired with the white woman's lust for the black man. Because they, not only were they jealous of the black phallus, they understood that the white woman lusted after the black phallus as well. Remember that. That hurt their soul. How could our women want this thing that's supposed to be subhuman, but our women want that? Well, you know, white women think black men are sexy. That's why. So just want to throw that out there. And I appreciate everybody being in here tonight. I appreciate everybody. Please hit that like button. We got 360 people in here right now. Please hit that like button. Let's keep this thing going. Y'all keep this chat going. Great conversation going on in the chat. Let's keep learning. Nemesis, I looked up SLC 2485, so I got some information on that. I appreciate that. Y'all keep suggesting books. Let's keep putting this information out. Let's learn. Let's turn this into a hub of learning. When y'all come to these lives, you should be able to leave with suggestions of books and a whole bunch of stuff to go Google and Chat GPT and look up and read and all that stuff. I appreciate all of y'all dropping knowledge up in here. Let's go. Let's go.
What are we talking about? I say that the fear is that the black male can cause white genetic annihilation. And this is why the attack on the genitals, there's no history in the world of any non-white men attacking white men's genitals. But why do white men feel the need to zero in on the black man's genitals and cut them off? Yeah. You see, and a lot of this is played out in symbolic behavior in this culture. For example, the culture says, keep your eye on the ball.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute.
They're laughing at her because they think she's crazy.
Look at something that,
I'll get there to just 1 second.
Hey, remember, every time they laugh, remember the laughter. Remember the laughter every time they're laughing, because who's laughing now? They want to laugh. They want to laugh. They want to laugh. Who's laughing now? It's great replacement theory. Who's laughing now? Remember that.
Look at something that people do not look at. Look at the game of billiards. See, the psychiatrist knows that through games we play out subconscious activity.
Yes, they do.
Okay, now look at this game. Here's a game with colored balls.
Yes.
All over the table.
And guess who gets to shoot the ball?
The white ball knocks all the colored balls under the table.
And often saves the black one.
And then the black ball, right.
Till last.
Till last.
Because there's a specialness about the black. Yeah. Let me, Dr. Wellesley, now, you're not surprised at the response of this audience. Just a couple of things here for the sake of our conversation. First of all, we welcome your contribution. That is, for what it's worth, I certainly do. Which does not mean, therefore, that I or this audience necessarily agree with everything you say. But let me tell you what I think is important. I don't think we've asked enough questions about this thing called racism, which has, in my opinion, the capacity to bring us down as a nation, if not, certainly not only here, but in many parts of the world. It is in the American bloodstream, and it's especially manifest here. So good for you trying to figure this out, because it's my, no kidding, it's my opinion, not enough smart people are really speaking to the, we run away from this. Another point you make, you think the token black is an effort to assuage this hidden feeling that we have? Is that, how do you explain?
Well, the token black, I mean, you might say that was under pressure. You see, that you have to, the civil rights movement, you have to include some non-white people. But every effort is made to move around that. Mm-hmm. And I understand, I mean, it's tragic. Mm-hmm. And it's injustice. Yeah. And I'm not just saying here, I'm saying all over this planet, whether we're talking about South Africa. And see, one important example that people do a lot of surface talking about is the Holocaust. See how quiet it is? The Holocaust in Germany was because what? Because the Semites of the Jewish religion were said by the Europeans to be non-white people.
So let me read this to you. Shout out to Nemesis for this information, man. Let me read this to you because this is talking about the SLC 24A5 or the Salute Carrier Family 24 member 5, which is a gene that encodes a cation exchanger protein, NCKX5, involved in regulating melanin production in melanocytes, the cells that make pigment in the skin. It influences the size, number, and density of melanosomes, the organelles where melanin is synthesized and stored. And so there's key genetic variation, RS1426654, in parentheses, they have ALA, and these are the different alleles. ALA111THR. So we're going to break down what that is. The most important single nucleotide polymorphism in SLC24A5 is the RS1-26654, which changes one amino acid and one protein. So the hell does all that mean? Basically, there are two different types of alleles that dictate whether a person has lighter skin or darker skin. So A allele, adenine, threonine at position 111 is associated with lighter skin. G allele, guanine, alanine at position 111 is the ancestral form, and that's associated with darker skin. So non-Black people, especially European populations, have the A-threonine variant of RS1426654, a very common, nearly fixed. It's nearly fixed. So basically the bulk of the European population, meaning almost everyone who's European, carries this allele, the A-threonine variant, which means that they will have the lighter skin pigmentation, while African people have the G allele. So that goes into them understanding their genetic, their deficiency when it comes to melanin, and their look on their genetic deficiency, why they are afraid of genetic annihilation. So yeah. So let's get into it. Let's get back into it.
The Holocaust didn't just occur.
So you think that there's
Wait a minute. Do you see what I'm saying? If we have denial going on about this, all you have to do is look at what the Nazis are saying today. And what the Klan is saying today.
So you're saying anti-Semitism has the same root?
If you read Hitler, if you read all the documentation,
anti-Semitism has pigmentation as it's under the...
do with the Semites. Look at the part of the world that the Semites come out of. I say that the word Semite comes from the Latin prefix semi, meaning half. It's a word like mulatto. It means a combination of Black African women, Greek and Roman soldiers, and you had that mixture. 2,000 years of continuing mixture in Europe made a lighter group of people.
Okay, can I just...
that were still considered to be non-white.
When you use lighter and you say recessive, and you use the word recessive gene, I think I know what that means.
This is not my language. This is the language of formal genetics.
That's true. But you equate recessive with inferior. Now, just hang on one second. I don't claim to be the first one to bring this to your attention, but aren't you dangerously close to Joseph Mengele with all this stuff?
No.
How about Shockley?
No. Wait a minute. No. What I am trying to do is explain some very, very important behavior on the planet that other people have shied away from dealing with.
Yeah.
Do you see? And to say that because you talk about it, it's just like if somebody studied tuberculosis and say, well, are you against the tuberculosis organism? No, you're trying to understand it.
But you do bring judgment. Right. I mean, so when you equate recessive with inferior, that's not science. That's judgment.
No. I'm not. That's not what I say. I say that the people who are feeling an absence of color, that they look at themselves in that way. And they have a response to therefore say, if I can get in charge of all these non-white people, then I am going to be superior. So nobody is uncomfortable in the white collective with all the white superiority that goes on every day. Look at television. White. Wait a minute.
All right, I got it. Hold on a minute. Look at. All right, hang on just 1 second.
Goodness.
Hold 1 second. There are a couple of things which you listen. There are people out there who say, "Look at all the progress we're making."
And look at the Urban League report.
I am not one of those people.
Fine.
Nevertheless, there are examples of integrated communities. Truly are.
But see, the answer is not a question of are there a few black people living where white people live. The issue is that if we are going to have peace on the planet, there has to be justice.
Right.
And white supremacy, where you have the tiniest number of people on the planet holding down the vast majority of people on the planet, happens to be the highest form of injustice.
Yeah.
And so if we are going to have peace, see, I'm not talking about destroy white people. I'm saying, but we do have to eliminate white supremacy. And I say in the back of that paper, the challenge to white behavioral scientists, help people who classify themselves as white become comfortable with their color and comfortable with their minority status, so that they are not feeling negative and then mistreating all of the people that they say are what, non-white.
Are you there, caller? Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here, Phil. Hi. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm white. I can't believe that she's saying that the white people would like to be, I'm assuming she's saying black, not of a darker skin color, but black. I myself am very, very fair-skinned, brunette with green eyes, and I have no desire to be dark.
Why?
Why? I like my color. I was attractive enough that I went to modeling school. I do admit that I do use blush. I do not use blush to, as you say, give myself color. I use it to accent my cheekbones, give myself better appearance.
Do you sunbathe?
No, I don't. And as a matter of fact, I love the beach, and my husband and I, when we've gone to the Bahamas a few times, when we have, I have to wear sunscreen. You know, I don't turn tan. Okay. I get red.
Right.
And I grew up on the beach, and I had a minimal tan. But,
but I'm asking.
I had a minimal tan.
I want to be clear. Is she saying I want to be dark, but I don't want to be black?
Yes.
But you're still making her point. You still want color in your skin. You don't like your original skin tone. You don't like that. And you want to be darker. Now, of course, you might not want to be black, but you definitely want melanin in your skin tone. And that's what she just said. Right. I mean, the sun is not their friend. But you're right, Kobe. She definitely contradicted the hell out of herself. Right. So, all right, come on now.
Yes.
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 And
so you'd like to be a little darker than you are?
No, I wouldn't say so. I'm very pleased with my color.
Well, then why do you put rouge on?
To accent my cheekbones.
Highlight the cheekbones.
But why do you suntan? Because the American Dermatological Society would prefer.
Probably for that reason.
But she goes to the beach.
She does go to the beach.
Because I like the water.
I gotta go.
I like the water. I grew up in California.
Let me try one more. Are you there, caller? Go ahead.
Hi. I'm also white, and I'm very comfortable with being white. I think that she's crazy to think that white people want to be black. We might want to have a little color, but I wouldn't want the features of a black person. And as far as
the what?
She does not want the features of a black person. Do you see? This is.
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. In other words, that's racism, but pigmentation isn't.
Well, no, I'm saying that. To say I wouldn't want to be, I mean, I can be happy who I am and not say something is negative about the other person.
Well, look, we've got a break here. Is there one of the agonies here is half of this audience does not believe that they're racist.
Well, let me.
I am not more than half.
Let me ask this.
You can't fix it if you don't know you have it.
But wait a minute, I want to ask.
How do you explain what's going on here in this country?
I want to say then, who is? That's like going to Germany. I went to Germany in 1957, and I wanted to live with German people and ask them, did they understand what they were doing?
Yeah.
taking their neighbors away and burning them up. Did they understand what was happening? Yeah. Everybody that I talked to knew what was going on. They did nothing. But if you go and say, well, now who believed what Hitler was saying? Nobody. Everybody says no. You see, every single person says no. So I didn't have anything to do with it.
People who are saying they're not racist, you're accusing them of not doing it.
No, I'm not accusing. What I would do is if you have to take a break, is give my definition. You see, give my definition of what I say that racism is.
A functional definition of racism, white supremacy, which you identify with white supremacy, is therefore, for all practical purpose, as follows. The behavioral syndrome of individual and collective color inferiority and numerical inadequacy, which includes patterns of thought, speech, and action as seen in members of the white organization or race. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, they put her in this environment to try to clown her. But, you know, like what's the code said, notice how calm she is. She kept her composure and she stayed on top of, like Kobe pointed out earlier, she stayed on top and she didn't let them derail her, even though, you know, they were, and as you're going to see as we move forward, they're going to keep slanging insults, all that stuff at her. But she's laying the foundation for what we now know is a real fear for white people. Hence, once again, the great replacement theory. Hence, terms white fear, genetic annihilation, leading up to what we call now the great replacement theory. So remember that. Please hit that like button. I appreciate y'all being up in here. Please hit that like button.
Yes.
Okay, I think people are racism. Okay, there is a lot of people who do have that in them, but I think the majority of the people like people as they are. And if you're educated,
you mean like your kind, you mean?
No. All kinds of people. It doesn't have to be your kind, right. Because so I can look at a person.
Any of it? This thing we call.
No, because I live in Colonia and we have a whole development of black people. Okay, and well, wait, no, I went to school with them. Okay, and I learned to deal with them. I think that if you learn to,
let's listen to what she's saying and how she's saying. Right, listen to what she's saying and how she's saying. Listen.
Yes.
Okay, I think people are racism. Okay, there is a lot of people who do have that in them, but I think the majority of the people like people as they are. And if you're educated,
you mean like your kind, you mean?
No, all kinds of people. It doesn't have to be your kind, right. Because so I can look at a person.
Any of it? This thing we call.
No, because I live in Colonia and we have a whole development of black people. Okay, and well, wait, no, I went to school with them. Okay, and I learned to deal with them. I think that if you learn to, well, we mixed as a group. In other words, we weren't different. We weren't treated different. So we were all one kind of person.
Hang on a minute. What's in that?
See, basically, like how she was talking about black people, it just like, you know, I see them and I know them, and it's all them. You mean like, can you humanize us? I was around them, but you know, can you humanize us? No, that goes back to make me think about what Pat calls WWF, white women fatigue. Because of course, you know, white women fatigue is something that has co-opted black fatigue, because you know they everybody like, we got black fatigue now. You know, black fatigue is a term that was started by black people to talk about. It was black fatigue is basically an updated term for racial battle fatigue, dealing with all this racism stuff. But you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, man. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you, Kobe. Appreciate y'all, man. Let's get it, man. Let's run these numbers up. Let's run these likes up. And let's learn. Please, there are a lot of book suggestions in the comments, and there are a lot of information being dropped in the comments. Please take notes. Please take notes. Go look up these books. Go read these books. Let's not just come here to collect information. Let's learn, understand, and then go utilize this information. I feel like I'd be wasting y'all damn time if y'all came here and we just gave information. Please take notes. Whatever stands out to you, whatever, take notes. Let's go understand, let's read, and let's apply this information in our everyday lives. I appreciate y'all.
69 and 70. I'd like to know what she's done lately to erase and eradicate racism and to improve
How do you
situation.
feel about what she's saying?
I don't care for it at all.
You bet.
I want to just say that I
See, this lady, and I'm gonna take it back a bit, because this lady basically is like asking Dr. Wilson, like, what is she doing to eradicate racism? And Dr. Wilson is saying, I'm pointing out the system to you all. I'm pointing the system out to you. What are you doing to eradicate racism?
Well, one kind
Hold
of
your thought. You hang on a minute. Go ahead. What's the matter? What?
This study that was done.
What you mean, clever girl Reese? Black men do black development. What you mean? What black men you be around? Black men do be doing black development. Remember, we got some crazy ass black men out here, but that ain't the majority of black men. Black men do be doing black development. Let's stop playing.
Done in 69 and 70. I'd like to know what she's done lately to erase and eradicate racism and to improve
How do you
situation.
feel about what she's saying?
I don't care for it at all.
What you mean? How? Black men are getting together. Black men are holding each other accountable. Black men are doing life skills. Black men are teaching other black men how to be better fathers. Black men are teaching black men how to get skills. Black men are teaching other black men how to be actual men. Black men are teaching other black men how to get jobs. Black men are teaching other black men how to hold down houses. There are plenty of programs out here that are black men ran, dedicated toward black men, younger black men, older black men, that are helping and developing and empowering black men. Go look for them. I'm telling you.
I want to just say that I feel I am a racist, but every black that calls Whitey a Whitey is also a racist. And
Wait a minute. Let me answer that. You see, within a family, people might call each other names, but when we come to the white people on the planet, the majority having organized themselves for white genetic survival, then when a white person can determine what is going to happen to a person of color, that is a difference, because then we're talking about a system of power that can say you can or you can't, or if I want to go back to Germany, because people do a lot of talking about the Holocaust. When the Semites were told, put on this yellow star because you're not white, and you can't go to the university, and you have to live in the ghetto, and you are going to be removed from your homes, that is power. It's not just a question of somebody saying, I don't like John, I don't like Betty. When you have the power to make it impossible for people to live a constructive existence, then that's a difference.
But what we're trying to figure out is why we want that power to do that to another person in the first place. And you're saying white people do it to people of
white
color
genetic survival.
because they feel,
I think it's a matter of economics more than anything else. And if you're a fair person, you're a fair person. And if this, I don't care who is my neighbor, if they can afford to be my neighbor, if they are the same economic ability that our family has, then they're fine. They're welcome to be my neighbor.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, look at,
The system of white supremacy wouldn't be what it is, right? The system of white supremacy wouldn't be upheld as long as it is, and still have the impact it is if all these people were so much against it like they say they are. Come on, man. Stop it.
Just, I'll give you a chance in just a moment.
You know, we do study everything to death. Everything's studied. I mean, figure it out, we study it. Except racism, either whatever scholarship there may be about it, we seem to be running away from, or we're not attracting our guest accepted some of the big academics to this issue. You wanted to say.
I'd like to know why Jimmy the Greek had to be fired from CBS for his opinions about blacks, and she can come on national TV and give her opinions about white, and she's not going to get fired from her job. White people can't talk anymore.
That's that white fear. We don't have the power we used to have to say whatever we wanted to say about everybody else with no consequences. And you mean to tell me that this black woman can come on TV and tell the truth and no consequences happen to her, but a white dude can get on TV and act ignorant and he actually have to face consequences? I can't believe we losing power. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what they're getting into.
And now he has to go write apologies to all black.
Well, I was just I don't think that you can equate what I'm saying to what he said. I mean, you might, and
Blacks are moving away from their own.
See, let me say this, that I'm not surprised that, what I'm saying might upset people. Now, if you just look, all of the studies that people who say they're white do on black people, the blacks this and studying the blacks that and studying this, saying this about blacks and saying, I mean, the literature is just packed.
But from a behavioral standpoint, I do not think
we have to have an explanation. See, that the crest theory, that's one person's idea. I challenge everybody in the audience to write about white supremacy behavior. What is your idea about it? Put your idea out there so that you can explain this very considerable behavior on the planet.
I'm not sure you're going to get the majority of the white community to agree that the majority of the white community is engaging in it.
But wait a minute, let me say this. See, I'm not here complaining about what people who classify themselves as white. I made an analysis. I said that basically I see that people who classify themselves are trying to survive genetically. And I am not saying you cannot do that. But I am going to say what it is, and I really advocate that non-white people on the planet stop expecting for white people to commit genetic suicide.
Right.
Doctor, are you aware?
If white people believe that they could be ended this way, they're not going to go to the cliff and jump off. So they're going to do everything in their power possible to not only remain as a group of people, but to remain in power. And remember, if we're talking about them being savages at a time where they were not worried about their numbers, if they were savages at a time where they were not worried about their numbers, imagine how much their savagery will come out, and it will increase now when they're worried about not just their numbers, but staying in power. So that's all I'm saying.
That within your own culture, you also have racism. In other words, my neighbors moved away from the blacks who were moving in next door to us, and so they wanted to move away in order to give their children a better education. I'm talking about Jersey City, where I am coming from.
What's your point?
And my point is that you also have racism within your own culture.
What are you saying is the racism?
In other words, blacks do not want to live among blacks. They have their own social order. In other words, if my doctor next door to me is black and he prefers not to live among the culture that's moving in to my neighborhood, this happened. I'm evidence of it. Happened many years ago.
Well, are you saying that let's say if you address people of Irish descent, if they move because they have a higher income, are you saying they're conducting racism against their own people? I think that you're clouding the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you're clouding the issue about black and white.
Over here,
Get them right.
I want to give you more time, and someday I'll be a czar, and I'll have all the time I want. Yeah.
Yes, I do believe that there is a such thing as racism among black people, but I believe it's in response to white racism, as opposed to, black people just want to go out and get white folks.
If you jump on my bones enough, I'm sooner or later going to call you.
Well. Let's like it was said earlier. Let's be careful with our words. That's not racism. If you are doing something to me, if you are harming me, and I respond to that, how is that racism? Isn't that self-defense? Isn't that stand your ground? Don't I have the right to protect myself? That's not racism, me protecting myself. So I'm just saying, use our words properly.
Names, or my kids are going to call you.
It's self-preservation.
Yes.
I believe there's racism everywhere, but I think it's more like you're not used to people. You hang out with your own group, and
that's true. But why is that? Dr. Welsing is offering here a kind of anthropological theory of racism, which has to do with our fear of, that is to say, white people's fear of their diminishing numbers. We're afraid we'll become extinct. She goes one step further to say that intermarriage scares us because it takes our whiteness away. And if everybody were free without all these terrible prejudices and fears, then it certainly, common sense would allow us to conclude that at some point down the line, no whiteness, that is to say, as we think about it in the West, would be left. And she is saying that deep down in here, unconsciously, we're scared to death of that. And that's why we've got black neighborhoods and white.
I disagree. I think you're scared just because people are different. And if you got to know them, you wouldn't be so scared. I don't think it's because we're afraid of being white.
Well, I mean, excuse me, but doesn't history show that the ones who are afraid of differences are the white folk? Because look at how they react to difference. Everywhere they go, something is different, they destroy. History has showed us that everywhere they go where something is different, they destroy. And they say that we are the ones with the problem because of how we respond to their racism. We're the ones with the problem because we're supposed to lay down and let them just do whatever they need to do. We're not supposed to fight that. We're not supposed to protect ourselves. There you go. And I want to give a big shout out to all the haters and the trolls in the comments. I appreciate y'all comments because you all are helping other people see this video. Let's do it.
Just for the moment, putting aside theories, and the good doctor is only a theory. I don't accept it as fact and generalities. And putting this thing on a one-to-one basis, I turned during the stop. I turned to this lady of color sitting next to me, and I said to her, "I don't know about you, but I have never wanted to be black. I'm perfectly comfortable. I've had this white skin for 70 years, and I'm perfectly comfortable."
She agrees.
Wait a
She
minute.
agrees. That's not a jury.
I wouldn't know how to do it differently. And this lady said she felt the same way about the color of her skin. So
I've never wanted to be white because I've always been happy with my color.
But you haven't denied her thesis.
Right.
She is saying that you don't want to be black. She knows that. And she's saying something else. She's saying that your interest in not being black is resting somewhere way down in your soul, and it's causing some of us to be scared to death that we might be.
you want to know something, Phil? I never even thought about what this lady brought out today, and having heard
That's
it.
what you call subconscious thinking.
That's the point.
And having heard it, to the little bit that I've thought about it, I must say that I totally disagree with her. Although she has a background and I don't.
Okay. All right. Yes. If you're a man, you get to talk.
With all this talk, with all this thing going on, and everything that's been said, I haven't heard one person make mention, especially you, Doctor, about the transition that's been taking place over the past 25 years. Of 20 years ago, whoever heard of a black mayor in the city of Montgomery, Alabama? I have a business in Patterson, New Jersey. Joe Clark, the principal. Well, Joe Clark, he's doing a fantastic job. He's black. What about all these other things that are happening? Everything that's going on in television today. When did you see a Bill Cosby show become such a big thing on television? He's black.
So basically what he's saying is you have individual black people who are able to achieve things in America. So that directly disproves that the system of white supremacy exists, and that directly disproves that there's a fear of genetic annihilation. Because look, they be letting some black people be successful. Understand, looking at it from a systematic point of view and not an individual point of view. But we're gonna get into that with Neely Fuller though. But just want to drop that on y'all. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. I appreciate everybody being up in here. It's 10:49. Almost an hour away toward midnight, so we're gonna see how long this thing gonna go, but we're riding out having a good time. I appreciate you all, so please hit that like button. It's 755 people in here. This actually is a milestone, so please hit that like button. Let's go.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I'd like to commend you on your work. I think it's incredible, and also I'd like to know how you feel about the recent Newsweek article that came out last week.
We're all women. Women.
Wait, no, just hold on. That addresses the basic assumption that we all are from a common ancestor, meaning we all as humans. And Newsweek revealed that this common ancestor was, in fact, a black woman from sub-Saharan Africa. I'd like to know your comment on that as well.
Hold on. Thank you, Siwa. Thank Sue. Super. I'm gonna mess your name up. I'm sorry. Super Woo Umbrella. Super Umbrella. Super Umbrella. Excuse me for messing up your name, but thank you for becoming a channel member. I appreciate you for becoming a channel member. You're gonna love it over here. Welcome to the family. Thank you.
As do you think that this kind of research, which has clearly been substantiated, really will reach a plateau of exposure? Because I don't.
Frank, I got you. Frank, hey man, look, I mess up names over here. I'm sorry. I mess up names. I'm sorry. Frank, I got you.
I don't think white America is ready to accept the fact that they are indeed genetically descended from a black woman.
Well, I have said that for a long time, that the simplest explanation about the arrival of the different colors on the planet is that you start with black. And from black, if black produces a condition of albinism, then you have white. And then if you mix the two, you get all the colors in the middle. Now, white cannot produce black, but black can produce all of the colors on the planet. So I say, since the paleontologists and anthropologists are saying human life began in Africa and the first ancestors for everybody were black. Now, the very fact that people have trouble with that, you see, says something about the psyche, about what people, after white supremacy has been established, what people end up feeling about.
I appreciate y'all for being in here tonight.
I think it's very unusual that a psychiatrist would give a biological reason for racism, because I really feel like racism comes from psychology. And if we took, as you said, all of the genetic pool and mixed it together and did come out with a one world color, I still think people would be racist. They'd find something else to come up with to make people superior to other people.
I am a medical doctor, and a medical doctor has to include the whole body as well as the functioning of the brain that produces the end product of behavior. Now, people, indeed, and I have said, people could have, one of the things that led me to this paper, I said, now people could have done foot size. You know, I wear 10B, so everybody who has 10B, but people didn't focus on foot size. If they did focus on foot size, some psychiatrists or behavioral scientists would have to come along and raise the critical question, why? But people settled on color. And so as a behavioral scientist, I just put the question in my brain computer and said, why? Why did they settle on color? And what is the significance of color? And let me just throw this out. A few weeks from now is going to be Valentine's Day. And what are the ladies going to want? Chocolate candy.
Wait a minute, don't leave me. Really, that's beginning to sound a little paranoid to me, you know?
Yeah. Why? Let me ask you this. I'll tell you, you know who asked this question on my show?
Why do white people say chocolate is erotic?
Why is chocolate cake devil's food cake and white cake is angel food cake?
Now they're trying to be funny.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Everybody laughing. It's not funny, right?
What? Yeah.
Assuming.
And remember, like it was stated earlier, she kept her composure through all of this. She kept her composure through all of this because they told her she was crazy.
For a moment that your theory is correct, what steps do you recommend to eradicate racism?
Well, I would like the people who classify themselves as white to really get in love with their own color and the fact of the reality that, wait a minute.
They're angry that you suggest they are.
Wait a minute. You see, the proof of behavior is in what you do, not always what you say. But if not that, I advocate that people, black people, non-white people, begin to look at it like a chessboard and understand that if people who classify themselves as white are playing for white genetic survival, then they cannot do the things that black people expect them to do, like help across the board. And that black people are going to have to get accustomed to playing the black side of the chessboard. It's not about hate. See, when you sit down to play chess, you don't hate your opponent. You just know that the white side of the chessboard that always moves first, you see, is playing offense, defense, and the black side has to play defense, offense. And that the anticipation is that the white king is going to be trying to what? Checkmate the black king.
Excuse me. Let me just get a couple of other your observations. First of all, William Raspberry had I thought of.
And remember the people who created the concept of race, the people who said that we're going to categorize people by their phenotype, their physical phenotype, their skin color, light at the top, dark at the bottom. They created all of this, created all the problems, and then once again, they will complain about the reaction to it. But once again, this is what white supremacists are supposed to do. If they steal it, they must protect it, and they will do anything to protect what they stole. So remember that. But they got to play the fool. It's part of it for them to play the fool, act like they don't know what's going on. They know what's going on. Consciously or subconsciously. But the ones who are really in power, the white folk who really in power, they know what's going on. Because they not just in power just for the hell of it. So.
Very insightful article about you. Talked about lap time. That's a big thing with you. Yeah. Children who are babies, infants who don't get the hi, we're glad you're here, tactile kind of. You told Essence magazine, among other things, we cannot wage struggle if the people are weak. You're talking about blacks now. No black female should have children before the age of 30, and no black man should become a father before the age of 35. Before child rearing, we should be going to school, going to the library, educating ourselves. We must create mature, mentally developed parents. Then we will be able to produce children with self-respect and a high level of functioning pattern. Now, wait a minute. Before this white audience gets too goo-goo gaga over this, the point ought to be made that wouldn't be bad advice for not a few young white folks to keep in mind.
Let me say this, Phil. Wait a minute. Phil,
adequately spacing the children builds a whole-centered child who has gotten special attention. A family should consist of no more than 2 children, no closer than 3 years apart. The 3 years give you a chance to...
Phil, please, let me just say this, that I'm talking about all of the horrendous problems. If you advocate, everybody in here white, read the Urban League report about what is happening to black families, okay? So I'm trying to help black families that are in the midst of the white supremacy dynamic get off of the dependency kick, because I don't see the white supremacy changing. But if black people understand that and follow those regulations that I have set up, you see, no children until 30, no father until 35, no more than 2, so that people can actually take care of their own children.
Okay. Are you there, caller? I'm glad you waited. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm a white female.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're right.
A black man. And anybody out there who says that there is no prejudice in this country is wrong, because I deal with it every day. I personally get called names. I get called nigger lover, all kinds of things, just by stepping out of the house with my fiance.
And your point is?
My point, what I'm trying to say is, everybody that I talk to that is black, every one of my fiance's friends,
what
tell me
got to do with this?
They don't have anything against me. They don't have anything against any white person that is nice to them. I have never talked to a black person or anybody of any other race, really, that has ever said, I hate whites. I hate whites. I don't get prejudiced. I don't get, discriminated against by his black friends, but I get discriminated against by other white people, and he gets discriminated. I'll tell you, black people in this country have more respect from me than anybody in this whole entire country, because I know what they deal with. A white person, unless you are dating or are closely involved with a black person, don't have any idea what black people go through in this country. They have no idea what it's like.
I thank you for your contribution. You will forgive me for taking leave, and we wish you and your fiance a long and happy life. I am glad you called. Thanks. Hi, I'm glad you called too. Go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Welsing and Mr. Donahue, I am a black medical student from Massachusetts, and I was a little put off by Dr. Welsing's comment that it seems as if white supremacy is going to take over our life and so forth. But what has happened to me is I have taken control of my own life. I've always
Here we go with this individual stuff, because I can do this, because hell, I am successful in my goddamn life. Let me make it big so you can see my face. I am not a bum. I am very successful in my damn life, but I still understand that the system of white supremacy exists and how it works. I'm not confused. I've studied, I've done my research. I am successful, Pat's successful, PC successful, everybody that's associated with this channel is successful. A lot of y'all in this chat are successful, but we still understand that the system of white supremacy exists. Me being able to have some success doesn't mean that the whole of us are good and that this system doesn't exist. So we ain't falling for that bull. We ain't gonna be that black person. I'm successful, so that means that the system of white supremacy doesn't work. Girl, get the hell on. I'm successful too. Dr. Welsing and everybody in her family is successful too. Stop with that.
I've grown up in a middle-class society. I've never been in the ghetto. And I don't have any problems relating to other black people or to white people. But I realize that I am the one who's in charge of my life.
Right.
I make those decisions.
Do you believe race?
Nobody is being black is not gonna stop me from succeeding. And I haven't had any problems with white people telling me you can't succeed. So I don't think that being black is an excuse for anything. And I also, as a black person, I have never tried to be white, which was indicated earlier. Those are all the comments that I wanted to make.
Well, I'm not saying that.
And even that caller, you sure you haven't tried hard to assimilate into the white world? You sure you haven't tried to make sure that you can fully integrate yourself and fully be loved by the white world? Are you sure? Are you sure? Because all of us are affected by the system of white supremacy. Until we take the conscious effort to realize where we are in this world and not assimilate fully into the system of white supremacy, we're gonna do it unconsciously. So she doesn't, once again, Dr. Wilson is in an environment with a whole bunch of people who don't understand what the system of white supremacy is. Remember that.
Let me just say this, I'm sorry, the racism is there, and my grandfather was a physician, my father's a physician, I'm a physician. Black people can do many things in the presence of racism, but I don't think that we should deny that it's here.
And we'll be back in a moment. Yes, ma'am.
There's a lot of validity to your comments on integration, but I think you lose me and a lot of white people when you bring up billiard balls, chocolates, and I want...
Just say you don't understand. Just say I don't understand.
I think it's dangerous to only address white discrimination and white prejudice without also looking at black prejudice and black discrimination against white people.
I feel your report is somewhat outdated. I think people have changed a lot since 20 years ago.
Racism's kind of going away?
Well, not totally, but somewhat, yes.
Yeah.
Phil, I'd like to address my comment to this lady over here in the white who just said on national television that she's a racist. God help you, my dear, because more and more people in the world are going to start looking like me. People are going to have more color. If you don't learn to accept me for my beauty...
Yes, but if we don't learn to accept what may be there in ourselves, we can't fix it either.
Well, no, both of y'all are wrong. Both of y'all are wrong. Our job is to recognize who our enemy is and do what we need to do to protect ourselves and or eliminate said enemy. That's our job. Realize who the enemy is and protect ourselves and or do what we need to do to that enemy. That's how the world works. That's how the world been working. Either your group will win or your group gonna lose. Either your group is gonna dominate or your group is gonna be dominated. Ain't no in between. There's no real intra-group harmony. Intergroup harmony rather. There's no real intergroup harmony. All other groups of people are looking out for themselves. All other groups of people, they want to dominate themselves. They want to be the ones that's on top. Remember that.
So please don't punish her for her honesty.
Phil, what she said was a blatantly racist statement. The woman admitted
it at herself.
That she is a racist. I take offense in that. Admit it. Racist.
They are. That's
That's my opinion.
Well, that is the people that you are surrounded by, and
you are too.
You what?
I feel you are too, but you're just not admitting it.
Miss, I have absolutely no racism or anything towards you. I feel no remorse. I'm asking the good Lord to help you see my beauty and inner being.
Yeah.
I think New Yorkers are very open-minded.
Well, New Yorkers are.
Yes. I don't know any
Yeah. Briefly,
if my white neighbor does something to me to dislike them, I'm not called prejudiced. But if my black neighbor does the same thing to me, they're standing there going prejudiced.
I was also offended by the old lady saying that she was a racist. But I feel that we cannot go forward as a society unless we love one another, unless we get along.
Yes. And we can't go forward unless, racism is a lot like cancer. You don't always know you have it. And discovering that it might be there, I don't want to make this about this woman, but if you're going to punish this woman's honesty, then we're going to get nowhere.
But she did offend me, and I'm sure she offended a lot of other people.
I don't think that it's racist. I don't think that anyone is being racist here. I think that the problem is that
Over here, George. Yes.
I think that they're making too much of a problem out of racist. I think that if I had a white neighbor who was low class, not up to the standards where we'd be just as angry.
Yeah, what?
I just had a little problem with her earlier comments about Mr. White living next door to Mr. Black and exchanging salutations in the morning.
So that was Dr. Francis Cress Wilson on the Phil Donahue show back in 1988. And they lost their damn mind. They lost their damn mind, laughed at her, pointed at her, mocked her, all those different things. They really, like you all are saying in the chat, they don't understand what she's getting at. So Dr. Francis Cress Wilson laid the groundwork for the overall fear of genetic annihilation, like the why behind white supremacy. She gave the why behind white supremacy. Now, these next two videos are going to give us information about the behavior of the white supremacists, the actual behavior of the white supremacists, right? So now we transition into the great Neely Fuller Jr. He's talking about, is killing necessary? Because we're getting into behaviors of the white supremacists. We know their why. Their why is a fear of genetic annihilation, or we can say the great replacement theory. So please hit that like button. I appreciate you all being up in here with me tonight. Oh, it's 11:07. I think we're gonna make it. I think we might make it to 12. I think we might make it to 12. So it's 11:07 now. So let's get this thing going. It says, I'm 73 years old, and I thought that by now it would be over, but over time we build, every time we build, they tear it down. And my thing is, and I appreciate this comment, my thing is, especially for my generation, that what you just said, every time we build, they tear it down. So for my generation, what are we learning from that? What you just told us, what are we learning? And what have we learned from that? And how do we apply what we learned so we can build and not have what we built tore down? And understanding that us in America, we are behind enemy lines. We cannot operate like we're not behind enemy lines. We are behind enemy lines. And then looking at it from a greater standpoint, as long as the system of white supremacy exists on a global scale, we're still all behind enemy lines. And until we replace it with the system of justice, here we are. But what are we learning from our elders who actually telling us something? They saying they never change. They never change. It says 808 in the Bay Area. Oh man, yeah. Shout out to everybody on the West Coast too. Shout out to all y'all on the West Coast, man. Said they are only 70% of the global population. How are you, the global majority? Who you talking about? White people? The global majority? Nobody's saying they're the global majority, but they are the dominant force. White supremacy is the dominant force on this planet. Shindo, you in New Mexico is 909. Okay, it's 1109 in Bmore. Shout out to everybody in the other time zones. It's 1109 here in North Florida. Hey man, so what are we learning? What are we learning? What are we learning? What are we learning? How do we apply? What do we learn? How do we apply? You're gonna get tired of me saying that. You're gonna get tired of me saying that, and I'm gonna keep saying it. What did we learn, and how did we apply? So please, let's get these likes up. Let's hit that like button. Let me check my likes real quick. Let me hit this update. Check these likes. Make sure we up to par on these likes. I appreciate you all being here. We got 351 likes. I appreciate that. It's 744 people in here. Please hit that like button. It's free. It's free. It's free. That allows more people to see this video. And if you think more people need to hear this information and connect with this information, please do. And remember to check out the video that I dropped earlier today talking about COINTELPRO. So I dropped that earlier today. Did I drop another video? I don't know. And I dropped a short today. So if you haven't already, after you get off this, go check my video out for COINTELPRO. Check out my videos tomorrow. Of course, you know, Breakdown Friday coming Friday at 1 p.m. And then we go back to work to our regularly scheduled programming. But we here tonight, and we getting it in. We getting it in. We get it in. You said I read the ISIS paper 4 times. White folks don't understand, and do not want to understand their racism, discrimination, oppression. There you go. System is the foundation upon which all successful and self-determined groups operate, be that a government, a corporation, or the nation. Yeah. Yes. I checked your video. I checked your video out on systems on your YouTube channel the other day. Actually, I saw the comment that you left, Together We Stand, and I did check your video out. Hey, keep pushing, my brother. Keep pushing. Drop your YouTube channel link in the comment, because I think that's a very good video that you put out. So please, Together We Stand, drop your YouTube link for that video in the comments so people can check it out. And I did check that video out. So, but now we're getting into, I appreciate everybody who hit that like button. I love you all. Appreciate y'all. Getting into Neely Fuller, is killing necessary? Let's go. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me share it properly. I don't know. I guess it don't have no image on it, but it's Neely Fuller.
Is the number that you called to get back into the show. Okay, it's been a couple of weeks. So, Mr. Fuller, we have a situation or a little section that we call the thoughts and expressions on the mind of Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller, being today as the 17th of December, 2024, what is on your mind that you would like to discuss with the audience?
We're going into a new year, 2025, and I would like to see us, starting right this minute, all of the people who are causing death. This is not the solution, and that should be clear to everybody by now, to settling whatever problems plague everybody throughout the entire planet. Just stacking up bodies, everybody, whoever.
Yeah, the screen black. I don't know why the screen black, but it's black.
More talking.
That's not my doing.
Kill in the churches, kill in the church schools, kill everywhere. Just kill.
That could make me a bit bigger.
Dissatisfied with something, kill everybody, including yourself.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out.
That's the solution to everything. This life is rotten. Well, why is it? You better believe it is. But why is it? It's all what they call, in a slang expression, man-made. So I want to talk about going into the next year, solutions. But that's the first thing. Or even if we don't stop it, just keep on talking about stop the killing, first of all, and then sooner or later somebody got to come to the table and sit down and talk anyway. Logic says that. And we should all have the intention of being in the business of producing justice, which means nothing but just help all the people who need help the most, and don't mistreat anybody in the process of doing so. But I'm quite sure that we're going into the next year, same thing every day. It's on the news. And the reason for this is just a centuries-old thing of glamorizing making death. It's nothing new. It's just being accelerated to the point of absolute world insanity. World insanity. And long before, I guess, the system of white supremacy came into being, people were killing each other. When at the same time they'd kill each other maybe 40, 30 years, wars and all that.
Hey man, if y'all can't disagree with each other without slanging insults, then y'all need to find another live stream to be in. You can disagree with people without slanging insults.
Like that, 60 years wars, and then they'd wind up coming to the table. Why not come to the table right from the beginning? And don't leave until these matters are settled. Every last one of them that you came to the table for, to use the slang expression, coming to the table. Even I've been told Jesus in his last days came to the table to talk. And his philosophies has lasted over 2,000 years in many religious leaders. Martin Luther King, he's going to grow in stature, because if you listen to everything that he says, you may not agree, disagree, or agree with some of the things he said. But I haven't heard him say anything.
Ohio in the building.
In any of his speeches. And I've listened to a lot of them that didn't make sense. And all of the people down through history who made the most sense grew in stature. And the person people have asked me about Jesus and all like that, it seems like he made a whole lot of sense about a whole lot of things, or his name wouldn't have lasted so long. For the things that he's known for. And a lot of other people, Julius Caesar, his name has lasted long, Napoleon Bonaparte. But these were people who were killing God's products called people. One of God's favorite products, apparently. Who can come up in their minds with things like artificial intelligence and whatnot. So people are the most intelligent creatures on the planet.
Now, I feel you,
and look at what is being done with it by people. Trying to figure out new ways to kill people. If you come up with something new, how can we use to kill somebody? How can we use this new invention? Invent the wheel. So you invent the wheel, say, okay, well, riding around in an automobile, getting from one place to another, that's a glorious thing. But why not put treads on it? Not for farming, but to give it traction to go kill somebody. We need more tanks. More tanks. Send some more tanks. Tanks for what? To kill people, including children. As many of them as you can. Look for them. Oh, there's a child just been born. We're going to show God what we think of God's creation. Bang, bang, bang.
Nature, behavior of supremacists, behavior of warlike people, behavior of bloodthirsty people. When we get to the next video, the Yorugu, Dr. Marimba Ani is going to hammer it home a lot more with the Yorugu. But the nature of the white supremacists, they have to kill to stay in power. They have to destroy everything around them. They have insecurities as well as a sense of lack, scarcity. So they got to try to dominate, and anything that threatens them, anything that seems to threaten them, they will seek to destroy. Looking at the behavior of the white supremacists.
So the code is saying, stick with it, regardless of what's happening. Continue on doing what the people whose word has lasted, most of them religious leaders, down through the ages, because the ones who made the most sense, those are the ones that lasted. The ones who were attempting to do the correct thing. But now, there's so much evil, it's so overwhelming. It spills over right into church services and temple services and mosque services. Killing. Go over there and kill them. There's enough of them over there assemble. Body counts. That's what we love.
And even when he talking about going into the churches and including religion, think about white Christian nationalism, that Mormonism and white Christian nationalism and the ideologies and the things that they believe. Kill and destroy those who are different and don't believe what you believe. Supremacy above anything else.
But we're going to have a lot more of that from what I see. But keep on keeping on anyway. It's going to get real ugly.
Absolutely. All righty. All right. Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
That's how we want it, Justin.
516.
That's how we want it.
453-9921 is the contact number. You want to press that. So let's go to the phone lines. And speaking about the killing,
we ain't got no choice, Jay, but to keep pushing. We ain't got no choice. You got to keep pushing.
In Milwaukee. Corey, good
Either
morning.
Gonna live on your knees.
I know you're in Milwaukee,
stand up.
but something happened in Madison, I believe it was yesterday, at that Christian school. But anyway, what is your question?
I feel you.
And do you have any more information other than what has been publicly released on that mass killing?
That would have been cool. That would have been
Madison,
real cool
Wisconsin,
right there.
yesterday.
Yeah, greetings, Mr. Bowdy, Mr. Fuller. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that news piece. Evidently, like 3 people were killed, including the shooter, and 2 people are in critical condition. But yeah, Madison's not. It's pretty close to Milwaukee. So yeah, it's unfortunately it's just not surprising, Mr. Fuller. And I really didn't have a specific question, but more of a VGQ. And I'd just like to ask you, Mr. Fuller, if you'd like to comment on this. I feel that in the midst of all this killing and all these horrible things happening, there also seems to be individuals who are testifying of their love of God or their appreciation of trying to develop a closer relationship with the Creator and sharing this with one another. So, yeah, I guess my question would be, do you notice this in the midst of this tragedy? Are you noticing a similar thing, Mr. Fuller?
A similar thing to what?
Right.
In the midst of all the killing and all this negativity happening in the world, there seems to be some people who are going the opposite route of that, who are seeking to produce justice. I'm hearing it more personally from individuals. We're having more conversations about the Creator and more conversations about helping one another and trying to put it into practice. Do you notice that at all, Mr. Fuller?
I noticed that, and man, I the more I hear of it, I think we're on the threshold of, regardless of how ugly everything is, that this is an opportunity for a breakthrough, because I think people are getting sick of it. Black people killing each other and whatnot, and seeking glory out of how many deaths they can cause and what kind of gangs they can join just for the sake of seeing how many people they can kill, because that's all it's really about. It's not about the money. It's not about anything. It's just about kill God's products. We're mad at God. And so the best way to express it is whatever God creates, kill it. And then look around at what created me and say, now, how do you like that? If people stop and think about it, that's exactly what they're doing. They can't impress people no more with the killing. It's been so much of it. People are drowning in it. So it's wearing thin. This thing about just killing. How many people can we kill today?
Right.
Take another body count. Was it 5,000? Somebody told me it was 8,000. Well, I hope it was 8,000, because that's entertainment. 8,000 people killed. Yeah. It was a false thing that happened. The first reports we got, they said it was 5,000. Now it's going up to 8. Oh yeah, now we're getting entertaining. I hope it goes up to 10. That's a nice round figure. Look at this insanity. Look at it. And just like the caller is saying, but there are signs that people are saying, I'm sick of this. Some of the people who have done it, done all this murder, they're saying, I'm sick of it. I'm getting sick of it. You know?
Yeah.
And that is a breakthrough that needs to be fed big time. And you feed it by doing what? Guarantee that no one is mistreated, and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help.
So, looking at what Neely Fuller is talking about, replacing the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. Understanding the nature of the white supremacists. Kill, destroy, kill, eliminate, kill, destroy, kill. So, once again, what do we learn? And what actions do we take? So how do we protect ourselves? How do we actually properly in real life, not in fantasy world, not idealistically, if we know with what we have now, how do we accurately protect ourselves? How do we take what we have now and build something better to be able to better protect ourselves? How do we do that? How do we get to a point to, as Black Americans, we are existing at a place to where, yes, we are really a threat to white supremacy now. We are really a threat to white supremacy because we've empowered ourselves, we've strengthened ourselves, we've united ourselves. How do we get to that point in real life, like real steps, like real things, right? And I'm looking at some of the comments, and I see some of the semantics things. And now it's funny. I see the conversation between Nemesis and Curtis. I was in the conversation like that last night. The semantic game. You know. That's what I'm saying. In real life, how do we truly protect ourselves? Because we're talking about a group of people who used force to rule the world. Like at the end of the day, they used force to rule the world. And they use force to maintain their power and position and control in the world. And you can't intellectualize your way out of oppression, out of racism, out of a subordinate position. I don't know one group in the history of the world that has intellectualized themselves out of that. So how do we become a powerful enough group of people to be able to actually lift ourselves out of oppression? Especially knowing who we're dealing with, understanding the behavior. Neely Fuller is telling us about the behavior. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing gave us their why. Neely Fuller is giving the behavior. Now we're about to go to Dr. Marimba Ani, who's going to tell us more about the behavior. I'm going to let Neely Fuller play a little bit more. But then we're going to transition to Marimba Ani and then give us more about the behavior of the Urugu or the white supremacists. But realistic, logical steps that will allow us to better protect ourselves, protect what we build, and truly be able to not just challenge the system of white supremacy, but actually in real life, replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice in real life. So please hit that like button.
Yes. I've been writing outlines. I mean, I hope I can get this idea over before I get into the grave. And that is, everybody on the planet has to be, in order to settle this, guaranteed full health care. I mean, that should be the world mission. I mean, it's one of the top items. Because without health care, everything else is down the drain. And of course, you're not caring for anybody's health if you're killing people. I mean, yes. Health is about healing. That's why it's called health. Reparations. And everybody's entitled to it. White people, they're entitled to reparations for a lot of things that have happened to them. So, I've worked out what I call super Social Security. And it should consist of the 4 basic things that everybody should have. Guaranteed forever. And that is excellent health. Number 1. Number 2. Number 2 is, I'm having a senior moment here, a sick moment.
That's okay.
Yeah. Number 2 is, it's right on the edge of my mind, but I lost it.
That's all right. That happens.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm looking right at it in my notes because I figured I might forget. Excellent health, number 1, and housing. Everyone on the planet should have some way to go that's comfortable, somewhere to go when the sun goes down or when the sun is up. That is adequate with plenty of heat when it's cold, no broken windows and all that, plumbing breaking down, all that's fixed because we're guaranteed that everybody on the planet is going to have a place to stay. Jesus was looking for what? I mean, his parents, rather.
So I'm gonna stop that Neely Fuller video right there for a second time, so we go ahead and get to Dr. Marimba Ani. But what he's talking about, he's getting at a system of justice, a true system of justice existing on the planet Earth. And once again, for a true system of justice to exist, well, one thing, the system of white supremacy cannot exist. And 2, there can be no other supremacies that exist. No Asian supremacy, no Hispanic supremacy, no black supremacy, no white supremacy, no nobody supremacy, right? So we're talking about creating an environment, an earthly environment around the globe where no system of supremacy can exist. But do human beings really operate like that in real life? It sounds good, but in real life, do human beings really operate like that? And I don't think so. That's why I think we need to make sure that we continue to keep ourselves in the place where we understand who our enemy are. We understand who our enemy is. We understand how not just our enemy, but other groups of people operate. And we work to protect ourselves properly. So let's move on to Marimba Ani giving us some information on Yoruba. This and there are links to all of these videos in the description as well. And I want to use these two videos to talk about the behavior and the character and the nature of the white supremacists. Then we're gonna get all the way into this great replacement theory. So hold on, let me share my screen, right?
Either in action or speculation. No ingenious manufacturer among them, no arts, no sciences. Such a uniform and constant difference could not happen in so many countries and ages if nature had not made an original distinction betwixt these breeds of men.
The Negro is a child, and with children, nothing can be done without the use of authority. We must therefore so arrange the circumstances of our daily life that my authority can find expression. With regard to the Negroes, then, I have coined the formula. I am your brother, it is true, but your elder brother.
You would say that Plato played a great role in creating what we today call the European?
Yes.
And for what reason now?
Yes. What I see is that in the development of European culture, which is an ongoing process, in the fulfillment of the Asili, that there are certain seminal points, seminal thinkers, doers, who at whatever point in history they were at, served a role of solidifying and further developing the definition of what it means to be European. Plato comes along and he uses the concept of truth, what would be called an epistemology, that's only the concept of truth, uses that as something around which people can come together and identify and say, okay, this is going to be us. Now, as I said, that didn't happen right away. You had to fight all these other people that would be dissonant, voices. But eventually, yes, that became what Europeans identified with. They said this way of thinking, this rationalism, this extreme rationalism that helps us to control, it gives us the illusion that we are controlling the future, the past, the universe, and everything. This is us as European people. So he was key at that point. Now, then you get a little later stage. Here comes along. Let's look at 312. What they call AD. Here comes Constantine. What does he do? He sees that what you need is a religious statement which will help to achieve this world domination, this power, help to bring these Europeans together so that they can have power over others. So he adopts Christianity, you see.
Yep.
And that gives him the model that he needs in order to say, we have the right, in fact, we have the mandate. And he said he personally had the mandate. And you need to look at his own quotes and the things that were written about him, to go throughout the world and in the name of this one true God, which was them, which was the Europeans, to make everybody into
Oh yeah, I feel you,
these
Nemesis.
Christians.
So he's adopted.
And remember, listen to what she's talking about when she's referring to Constantine, what Constantine did. Constantine looking to conquer as many people as possible. And remember, at this time, this is in Europe, so even conquer other white people. Christians were their ops at the time. And it was easier for him to convert to Christianity and subject them spiritually and mentally than it was to try to subject them by force. But the object is always domination. The object is always power. The object is always control. That's why they're fighting so hard right now to not lose any power that they have. They know that they are losing the population battle. So they're fighting on all other fronts to make sure that they don't lose any footholds that they have. But pay attention to how she's describing the nature of the European, especially the white supremacist European.
In Christianity as a weapon of control.
Absolutely.
Good evening and welcome to For the People. Any objective reading of history would conclude that at least for the last 500 years, the biggest roadblock to the development of black people around the world has been European imperialism. Europe's control over the resources and people of continental Africa and Africans in the diaspora. Europe's devastating impact on the development of Africans through the terrorism of slavery is well known. The later colonialism period, wherein white nations engaged in economic and political cannibalism by carving up the body of Africa, is less well known. Then there is the vitriolic and venomous European attack against the very humanity of black people, as we heard at the beginning of this program. While Europeans in National Geographic magazine style has been studying the exotic peoples of color and animals around the world, there are relatively few works by black social scientists which take a critical, in-depth look at why Europeans think and behave the way they do. Dr. Donna Richards has been involved in the African liberation movement since her work as a field organizer for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in Mississippi from 1963 to 1965. Dr. Richards holds a BA degree in philosophy from the University of Chicago and MA and PhD degrees in anthropology from the graduate faculty of the New School for Research. Currently, she is an associate professor of African Studies in the Department of Black and Puerto Rican Studies at Hunter College in New York City. Dr. Richards begins by explaining the title of her book, Urugu, an African-centered critique of European cultural thought and behavior.
Urugu comes from Dogon mythology, small group of African people whom Europeans would consider probably primitive, unquote, who have a most complex cosmology. And in it, they talk about Ama, the creator, having created all beings with twin souls, the male and female part, and that represents the whole being. Urugu was a being that tore himself away from the process of gestation, process of being born, so to speak, early, before Ama was finished creating. Because he wanted, in his arrogance, he wanted to compete with the creator, with Ama, and create a better universe, a better, an earth actually, than Ama could create.
See you later, Daryl. I appreciate you for tuning in.
He came down from the heavens, came to begin the process of creation, found that everything that he created was incomplete. That indeed he could not create perfection or anything with life because he himself was incomplete. He then realized that he was missing a part of himself. So he goes back to Ama to get his female part so that he could be whole. Alma had given that twin soul, that female part, away. So that Yurugu was in the state of searching for this other part of himself that would make him whole and never being able to find it. So that he was forever incomplete, could only create destruction, actually, could only destroy, and could never be fulfilled. That to me was a statement of what I saw in the nature of European cultural thought and behavior.
Why is this study important? Why did you undertake this study?
There's a personal reason. At the point that I was at when I began graduate studies, I saw us as African people always being put into a position when we would be in European or white academic institutions of being used to study our communities so that they can then use the information to control us.
There you go.
And I said that I would not be put into that position.
Gotta understand your enemy, because your enemy is working overtime to understand you. And like she just said, not to just understand you, but understand you to control you. Their whole mission is domination and control. Domination, power, and control. And they will take out their own mothers to be in a position to dominate, to be powerful, and to be in control. Understand the nature and behavior of your enemy. It helps you be in a better position to defend yourself against your enemy. Only a fool would go to battle against someone that they don't understand and expect to really come out with the victory, especially if your enemy knows you. If your enemy spends ample time studying you and how you think, how you walk, how you talk. Matter of fact, your enemy didn't just spend ample time studying you. Your enemy are also in a position to dictate your behavior, to modify your behavior, to socially engineer your behavior. So they understand everything about you. They understand the way you think, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you do everything, even why you react the way you react. They understand all of that. And if you don't understand a damn thing about your enemy, you are going to lose and you're going to remain on the bottom.
And decided that as I was being taught European anthropology, I said, let me use some of this and see if I can turn it around and indeed study them and put them under the microscope. And that was the beginning of this process. I think the ideological reason, the political reason, most definitely was that Europeans have been very good at masking their intentions and their posture towards African people and other non-European people. And we have not understood what their purposes are, their intent towards us, have not understood their behavior. And I felt that this kind of study could help to unmask what in reality is the nature of Europeans.
So Yurugu, an African-centered critique of European cultural thought and behavior, is about what?
It's about how
Happy New Year, bad titles. Happy New Year.
European culture works as a consistent machine for the achievement of European power and total control of the universe. That's what it's about.
Lest some people think that this
power and total
is just for
power and total control of the universe. That's what the European is about. That's what they know. It's what white supremacy is about. Power and control of the total universe.
Or a book is just for intellectuals and not for the working man and woman. Could you tell us some ways that European cultural thought and behavior have us working against ourselves?
One of the things that they do, I think that is very damaging, is the way in which they, how should I put it, train our children in schools to act against themselves and their people, to deny the aspects of themselves that really indeed are their strengths. We, of course, have experienced that, have been conditioned in this way, and it affects every single one of us. What you call the working Africans may be in a better position to begin to understand the kinds of things that I'm pointing to. It is the people who have been so indoctrinated within the academies that find it more difficult to critique, to look critically. Because the academy, since the time of Plato, back in 600, 700, 500 actually, years before the Common Era, the academy is the place that has been used to despiritualize the universe, has been used to promote a conception of truth that has no spirit in it. And we as an African people are a spiritual people. So that what it does is, these institutions do, is to take us away from ourselves. So the more time you spend in them, the more you are convinced that of this European reality, which is not a real reality, is not a reality for African people.
You make this statement in your introduction. This study was not approached objectively. It is not possible to be objective towards Europe. Explain that.
The concept of objectivity itself is something that has been used by Europeans to control African people. It is a concept which says that we can contemplate truth without being connected to any culture, without coming from any perspective, without having any political implications in what we do. That, of course, is not the case. And what we did was to accept this and say that, oh, they're scientists, they're scholars, and so forth. We're describing us objectively. What they were doing was promoting a particular way of viewing the world, promoting a particular political interest in the world. I do not make that claim because that claim, it would be a lie. And it is always a lie when, you open up a book and somebody says, well, I'm being objective in doing this. How can you be objective? You are a human being, you're part of a culture, your people have had an historical relationship to other people. For any African person to say that they are being objective about Europe would be to say that they were being apolitical, non-political. We need to get away from that. So this is a very political work. It is meant to be.
If you told black people that white people were committing biological genocide against us, and that by the year 2000, whatever, there would be no more black people, you would get one reaction. But you're saying that we are being threatened with cultural and psychological extinction.
Hey man, let me just say this too. Some of y'all, it's funny. Some of y'all in the chat really don't know who the enemy is. Some of y'all in the chat really don't know who the damn enemy is. We sitting here looking at how and analyzing how white supremacy and how white supremacists operate. And we got people in here trying to blame us for, come on, man. Let's stop it, man. Let's stop it. Grow up.
How do you get African people to see the urgency of the situation?
I don't know, frankly, if you can. I think that we have to focus on young people, young African people.
Wait a second, melanated people ain't from this country.
Have
That's
not
funny. That is funny.
been so conditioned with a way of thinking that supports European imperialism, European power, that they still have the ability to use their intuition, their spirituality, their Africanness to create, to think beyond the limitations that have been given to them in European academies. I think most of us as adults, as elders, have been so conditioned that we're afraid
Happy New Year, Mr. Dion. I appreciate you, my brother.
the parameters that have been defined by our enemies in our thinking, so that our vision is limited. And so we are really not the people who should be conceptualizing the plans, the movements, what we should be building. But I focus on the younger people who hopefully are still more in touch with what is natural to African people. And if I can affirm that in them, they will see the urgency. I find that in my teaching. I find that in teaching young people, that once they are affirmed and introduced in a conscious way to the African worldview, it becomes crystal clear to them. And they see in an urgency in us as African people building for self, as opposed to imitating forms which have been put in place to make sure that we continue to be oppressed.
Culturally and psychologically, do you think we realize what we have lost?
Nope.
No, not.
Nope.
It's ironic because.
I mean, to answer that question now, because the bulk of us don't even really give a damn to really understand what we have lost. The bulk of us don't even really give a damn to understand what has truly happened to us. And even like what she's saying, what Neely Fuller was saying, what Dr. Francis Cress Welsing was saying. It's funny. It's funny till it ain't funny. It's funny till people complaining about the results of it. Reef, I appreciate you. Thank you. You know, it's funny. Everything is funny. Everybody got something to say. Everybody know this. Everybody know that. But we should be doing this. And nobody's done nothing real. Like one thing we got to realize is we talk too much. We talk a lot of shit as black people. That's why I say, if black people were a superhero or a character in the Avengers, we would be the person who don't have no real powers and we just talk shit. Well, the only power we would have was resiliency. But other than that, we just be talking shit. We talk too much shit and we don't do anything. We have no tangible outcomes. No tangible outcomes. And we always talking, I do this and you should do that. And you ain't none of us doing a damn thing. None of us doing a damn thing to actually really challenge white supremacy. And it's always somebody else's fault. It's always you women and you men. Come on, man. Black folk, everybody on this globe are laughing at black people. They're all laughing at us. While we sitting here fighting ourselves and everybody want to be the blackest in the room. Everybody want to be the smartest. Everybody got the damn answer, but no results. Where's the results? I never said I have the answers. Every week we come here to try to come up with to try to get closer and closer and closer to the answer together as a collective. Damn it, I say I don't know all the time. But it's funny to me that the group of people who constantly taking L's always talking about they got the damn answer. Well, where are the W's? If we got the damn answers, show me the wins. Show them to me. I want to see them. Show me the wins. Don't get quiet now. Don't get quiet now. Show me the wins. We're always, damn it, talking. No wins. Come on, man. Let's stop this, man. So it's officially, according to my watch, it's officially 12 p.m. So it's officially 2026 here in these here United States of America. So Happy New Year to everybody who actually celebrate the New Year like that. Happy New Year to everybody. We made it. Shit, we made it. I didn't think I was gonna make it. I didn't think we was really gonna make it. I told you I was gonna under promise and try to over deliver. So here we are. I do want to take a break. Take this time to. I got my what I want to say. I got my merchandise store up and running. I got some merchandise. I know people have asked me in the past about merchandise. I want to got my merchandise up and running. So I want to take this quick minute, show y'all about my merchandise real quick. So I told y'all I was gonna get my merch shop up and running. So I've got it. So I want to show y'all my merch shop. So this is it. So I got some hats. So I got my own Shoulders of Giants hats available for order. I have shirts. This supposed to be like a canvas, some kind of shirt, jersey shirt. I don't know why they got that design, but it's a jersey shirt. Somebody wanted. They got hoodies, regular shirts, heavy, what they call it, the heavy tee, tees for men's, unisex tees for women. Everything. I got a mug. I gotta get this mug too. But this is the merch that I have available. See, I got my mug. I have my hats. And I have my apparel available, and all of that is the links and stuff are below and connected to the video. So I got my merch shop up and running. Been working on that for a minute in the background to get my merch shop up and running. So I got it up and running. So if you want to support the channel, get you some merch, it's all available. Links below and links attached to the video. Yeah. All right. So I appreciate you, Dwight. Right. It says, this is my first time listening to you, my brother. I'm not the greatest and don't have all the answers, but most of us won't listen. And that's one of the problems. I agree with you. Most of us won't listen. They won't listen. That's why we still in the position that we are. Hey man, Nemesis, you're right. The rapture ain't happened yet. You know, the buddy in I forgot the country in Africa, but the buddy talking about the flood was supposed to happen. It ain't happened. We still here. Hey, we made it. We made it. Please support the merchandise. We made it to 2026 calendar year, white man year 2026. We made it. So here we are. I appreciate y'all rocking with me tonight. So I'm gonna let Dr. Marimba Ani go a little more, and then we're gonna get to the crux of it, talking about the great replacement theory. Let these white folk cry a little bit, and then we're gonna wrap this thing on up. Happy New Year to everybody. Please hit that like button. We don't realize it
on a conscious level. Yet we live it every day. In the way we walk, in the way we talk, in the way in the music we create. There is a depth of spirituality which exists in us as a people, which has continued since our origins, that our ancestors have passed to us, and which we continue to pass on ourselves, that we don't consciously recognize as a strength. We don't realize that it is something that we need to use to think with, so that when we are presented with a European worldview in the classroom, we think that that's the only way to be. That's the only way to think, because we didn't come with anything. So I don't think that we are aware on a conscious level of what it is that we've moved away from in terms of
we don't understand it.
Power.
We don't understand what we're dealing
See,
with.
that's
We
what
don't understand
we're not aware
ourselves.
Could you talk some about how we came to be who and what we are today? If you understand the question.
I think I do.
Okay.
I think that we have to look back at a period that I call the Ma'afa. We as Africans were very consciously stripped of our culture.
Right.
Now, that becomes a platitude. You know, everybody's saying that. Stripped of our culture, but we have to see that we had a strong culture and so forth. But nobody seems to realize the depth of what that
There's
means.
gonna be a whole lot of bull happening in
Being stripped of
2026,
our
Dion.
culture meant being conditioned to accept ourselves as inferior beings. Okay. It meant that we were conditioned to feel that we had to be dependent on Europeans, dependent on white people, that we could not do things for ourselves and in our own image. That conditioning began with a long period of terrorism, which was very physical, physically manifested. At the same time, there was the breaking of the will. So there was cultural violence, I call it, in the book, as well as the physical violence, which was very important. We then came to a period in which we mistakenly thought we were free. We're now at a point where we think that we have freedom, the ability to be whatever it is that we can be within this society and so forth. Yet what happens is that we are still thinking within a modality that has been determined by those who would oppress us, those who would control us. And we don't see beyond that. So the question for me becomes, who controls how you think? We have the ability to create our own structures, our own theories, our own definitions of reality, to look at the African worldview, to look at, for instance, the Dogon people, to look at the Kemetic people, to look at our own people who have, even look at Carter G. Woodson, for instance, the miseducation of the Negro, which I don't think was really ever understood by us.
It was.
And to
That's why we're
use
reading it now.
these things as inspirations for the building of institutions, the creation of things, the building our own buildings. We have the ability to do that. So it's almost like we've been conditioned so well through such a long process that now it is us who are enslaving ourselves mentally.
Stop it right there. That's the perfect place to stop it. Perfect place to stop it. Understand the nature of your enemy, but also understand what has happened to us. Because we don't, a lot of us don't understand what has happened to us. You're right. Everybody's being programmed. We've been heavily programmed. We've been programmed to hate ourselves and love them. They are right. We're wrong. White supremacy is what it is where it's at. So it's one of the issues that we're dealing with as Black people here in America. We have no idea what really happened to us and what we're gonna do about it. So I be assuming that we're all adults and we don't have to distinguish between everybody. And I'm not trying to throw shots at nobody, but I be assuming when I be talking, because I be having this conversation with my brother, because my brother is always talking about it's not everybody. I just be assuming that we're adults, and as adults, we understand that we talk in generalities, and when we talk in generalities, that we're not talking about everybody. Because I shouldn't have to say not everybody every time we talk about something, because as educated adults, we should understand that when we speak in generalities, that it's not everybody. We just talk about a majority of. Y'all help me out. I'm just saying. But this is a video from Mr. Beat. Mr. Beat, he's saying the Great Replacement Theory explained. So this is a guy who is saying that the Great Replacement Theory is not real. And then the next video is going to be Matt Walsh saying why the Great Replacement Theory is real. Amen. Please, I appreciate everybody hanging in here with me. We're about to wrap this thing up. just these last 2 videos, wrap this thing up, and then we out of here. Happy New Year, happy 2026 to everybody. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Let's do this.
I'm Mr. Beat here. I'm white. Seriously, my skin color is white. Well, technically like peach, but I belong to a human group that can trace their ancestry to Europe with mostly lighter skin color. And I probably didn't have to tell you that because you can see me right now, unless you're blind. Anyway, I bring this up because you may come across some xenophobic messaging when you're doing your thing on the old internet. You all remember what xenophobia is, right?
Go back to Ireland, you dumb mick! You remember that, you bug Get back in the boot, Patty!
It's the fear of people from other countries. Now, even though this messaging is xenophobic, it's sneaky. In fact, it's terrible.
Hey, Curtis, whatever you need to tell yourself, my brother, whatever you need to tell yourself, you program just like the rest of us. Stop it. Hey man, y'all funny, man. Y'all are funny. It's 2020. It's just we 10 minutes into 2026, and y'all wilding.
Terribly good at manipulating us, despite being full of crap, and despite it probably going against everything you value and believe.
You're right.
I even fell for it. And I'm supposed to be smart. By the way, I'm not that smart. I just pretend to be smart on YouTube. But anyway, a few years ago, I noticed a bunch of folks who identify as white started bringing up something called the Great Replacement. Put simply, the Great Replacement theory says that too much immigration of non-white folks to countries that are mostly made up of white folks is bad. Not only that, those who promote the Great Replacement theory argue that welcoming immigration policies for non-whites are part of a plot meant to either weaken or replace the political power and culture of white people living in Western countries. When I say Western countries, it's not just Europe I'm talking about. I'm also talking about the Americas, Australia, and New Zealand. By the way, you might want to check out my video about Western values when you get a chance. Simply put, the Great Replacement is the alleged replacement of whites by non-whites. It often overlaps with a larger theory called the white genocide conspiracy theory, which revolves around the beliefs that powerful people are trying to prevent whites from having kids. Often the conspiracy is blamed on, you guessed it, Jewish people. This theory is manipulative because it equates normal patterns of immigration with murder. It's trying to put a big equals sign between the new Salvadoran or Syrian who lives down the street and a mental image of a concentration camp. Now, obviously, if they literally did that, then you and I wouldn't fall for the messaging. Therefore, the messengers have to be a little bit more subtle about it. And lately, they've gotten pretty good at manipulating us. Here's the thing, though. Not only are those who preach about the Great Replacement theory manipulating us, but as it turns out, the entire theory is bullcrap.
So, and if you listen to what he's saying, he's talking about white supremacists who are pushing the Great Replacement theory. And so, I got another video about the Great Replacement theory. This is just his point of view from a person who he claims to not subscribe to white supremacy. And so he's saying, but he's also saying that this Great Replacement theory is being pushed and being harbored by white supremacists as well.
It's literally not backed by evidence at all.
There is no secret plot to get rid of white folks, but let's just say that there was. Well, they must be doing a pretty poor job, since there are more white folks now than ever before. You might be thinking, well, duh, Mr. Beat, but whites represent a smaller percentage of the proportion of the world. Well, who counts as white isn't based on genetics or even demographics. It's based on politics. In the United States, for example, Irish Americans, Italian Americans and Polish Americans weren't considered white until the early 1900s. Greek Americans weren't white until just a few decades ago. Some Arab Americans used to be considered white, but by the end of the 1900s were no longer considered white. Even though race isn't a biological reality, it has still been a way for people in power to divide us up over the years. Not only that, immigration is simply currently not high enough, nor will it likely ever be, to make it so that skin color, values, or culture will completely change in one country. Sure, there will be demographic changes, and there already has been, but there is no evidence that these recent demographic changes have dramatically changed the dominant culture and values of any one country. We often just see cultural assimilation. Oh, cultural assimilation is the process in which a minority culture gets absorbed into the dominant culture of a society. Not that that matters, as these immigrants...
And remember, when you assimilate into that dominant culture, you become less of a threat. They've neutralized the threat when you assimilate into that culture, because you're going to assimilate mind, body, and soul.
already share American values. That's why they're coming here. And the different cultures they bring are almost always beneficial to American society. Also, most immigrants, and especially their children, assimilate peacefully into the existing culture, which, by the way, is constantly changing anyway, and has always been multicultural. This is no surprise to me, as I've had many students who are the kids of immigrants, but if I didn't know they were the kids of immigrants, I would have assumed that their family had been in this country for many generations. So then it just comes down to skin color. And if you're really concerned that skin colors of all humans in your society might change, have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why? Skin pigmentation is highly correlated with distance from the equator. That's right. The random lottery of how far you are from this line determines what color you get to be. The primary pigment in human skin is melanin, which is used to protect us from the sun. Just because your friend Jessica doesn't get sunburnt as often as you doesn't make her any less human. More than that, this distribution of colors has changed a lot over here.
Hey, y'all killing me with some of these comments. I'm over here laughing some of these comments y'all got, man. But yeah.
Human history. And Europeans from even just 8,000 years ago looked dramatically different than they do today. Keep in mind that for the vast majority of human history, humans with lighter skin pigmentation have not existed. So who came up with the Great Replacement Theory? Well, apparently this dude came up with a modern concept of the Great Replacement Theory, René Camus, a French writer who at least popularized the term with a couple books, the first of which came out in 2010. Camus argued that white Europeans were being disproportionately replaced by immigrants from Africa and the Middle East, which could lead to the, quote, extinction of whites. Camus particularly was afraid of Muslim immigration, arguing they often had a much higher birth rate than whites, even though around 40% of Muslims identify as, white. But I digress. It's not surprising that white supremacists were attracted to Camus' Great Replacement Theory, but incredibly, it became fairly mainstream by the time I first encountered it in this 2017 video by, what was her name? Warren Northern? Yeah, I think that was it. Well, the video has since been taken down, but still, back in 2017, it did very well, and just Warren casually bringing up the theory like it ain't no thing was surprising. It was proof that Camus had given white supremacists a powerful argument to use, even if that argument was false. Since then, his followers have described immigration as an invasion, and they generally promote the idea that non-white immigrants, whatever that means, have dramatically different values than whites, and are trying to erase white culture.
And remember, this is also being paired with negative birth rates. It's also being paired with negative birth rates. White supremacists are afraid of losing power, control, land, all of that. Great Replacement Theory. They believe that their power structure is being challenged, and they will do any and everything to make sure that they fight back.
Isn't it just another version of xenophobia? I mean, yeah, basically. Yeah, before Camus popularized his Great Replacement theory going back more than 100 years before that in France, there was a nationalist, anti-non-white immigrant movement brewing there. In fact, in most of the Western world, going back to the 1800s, there have been similar movements, especially due to the increase of immigrants to the Western world from African and Asian countries. Because of this xenophobia, many people in Western countries called for nativism, or the policy of protecting native-born citizens over immigrants. Xenophobia hasn't always been about skin color. In the United States, for example, many nativists hated the Irish, Catholics, Jewish people. This is what led to groups like the Ku Klux Klan. Oh, goodness gracious. But the Great Replacement theory is different in that it has found widespread appeal online. Media-savvy white supremacists have been successful making it appealing to people who are, definitely not white supremacists. This might be because now they say Great Replacement instead of white genocide. Even a member of Congress, Steve King of Iowa, endorsed the theory. The scariest thing about this being so mainstream is that it has led to violence. A lot of it. In 2011, this guy from Norway wrote a 1,500-page manifesto explaining his fear of white ethnic replacement by migrants from the Middle East and North Africa. He then killed 77 in a terrorist attack. In 2018, this guy from Pennsylvania posted online that Jews were responsible for the Great Replacement and they needed to be killed. He then went on to kill 11 people in a synagogue in Pittsburgh. Some of those were Holocaust survivors. The next year, this guy from Texas also wrote a manifesto that said he was going to defend his country from a, quote, cultural and ethnic replacement brought on by an invasion of Hispanics. He then went on to kill 23 people at a Walmart in El Paso. And then, of course, the Buffalo shooting, which happened while we made this video, also was inspired by the Great Replacement theory. Now, obviously, not everyone who falls for these lies will commit a mass murder, but anyone, including me and you, can fall for Great Replacement theory messaging since they use manipulative tactics to make false claims sound plausible. And if we're not careful and critical, we can be manipulated and heck, we could even be radicalized by this stuff.
And remember, he's mostly talking about his people. He's mostly talking about his people. He's not talking about us. Even though some crazy black folk, for the majority, not talking about us, even though some crazy black folk, Myron Gaines and all of them get radicalized by stuff like this. So I want to let him talk. Let me also read this. At its core, the Great Replacement theory asserts that white populations, particularly in Europe and the United States, are being intentionally replaced through immigration, interracial relationships, and higher birth rates among non-white people. This fear is framed as demographic warfare. This anxiety did not originate in the 21st century. It emerged the moment European expansion encountered large non-white populations that could not be eliminated quickly or completely. For the transatlantic slave trade to colonial rule across Africa, Asia, and the Americas, white dominance was never solely about superiority. It was about numerical vulnerability, if we're looking at the Great Replacement theory. And so it goes on to say, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing articulated this reality decades ago in the ISIS papers. She argued that racism is a global system rooted in white genetic insecurity. Because whiteness is genetically recessive, she explained white supremacy functions as a survival mechanism designed to prevent genetic annihilation. Control of reproduction, sexuality, immigration, and power was never accidental. It was strategic. Long before the phrase Great Replacement existed, its logic governed laws against miscegenation, segregation, apartheid, eugenics programs, forced sterilization, and immigration quotas designed to maintain white majorities. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, white fear of being outnumbered took scientific through eugenics. Prominent Western scholars openly argued that white civilization would collapse if non-white populations were allowed to grow unchecked. Let me read that again. Prominent white scholars openly argued that white civilization would collapse if non-white populations were allowed to grow unchecked. Immigration laws in the United States during the 1920s were explicitly designed to preserve a white demographic majority by limiting non-European entry. These ideas were not hidden. They were taught in universities, written into policy, and enforced by law. The Great Replacement theory is simply eugenics without academic language. Keep America white again. Make America great again. So, get to this last video. This last video is Matt Walsh, who is a white supremacist, and he does believe and is pushing the Great Replacement theory. So we heard a white dude who was saying, hey, racist white people do that. And yeah, of course, he acting like he on our side. But he's saying racist white people do that. But now we have one who's on the MAGA side, who's on the conservative side, who's on that side saying, yeah, this is what it is. So I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me this long. Appreciate you all. Like I said, this is our last video. They're gonna wrap it up for the night, and then I'll see y'all again live on Saturday. Yeah, because today is what, Wednesday? Yeah, so I'll see y'all live again on Saturday. But please hit that like button. I appreciate y'all. Here we are. It's Matt Walsh with his bullshit.
This is replacement theory in a nutshell. It is dangerous and a deeply anti-American worldview. It is poisoning minds.
So we hit a major milestone this week, and by we, I mean everyone in the whole world. Congratulations. The global population officially crossed the 8 billion mark. So there are now 8 billion people on the planet. It took humanity until the 1800s to hit 1 billion, but only 200 more years to multiply that number by 8. This, of course, has led to, as you might expect, lots of frantic and feeble hand-wringing about the mythical threat of overpopulation, quote unquote. There are too many people on the planet, they cry. The whole planet is about to tip over on its axis and we'll all slide off like dishes on an overturned table. Infamously, there was once an elected Democrat who expressed a concern not far from that. Slightly less delusional, though still plenty delusional, is the fear that we will run out of resources or habitable land for people to live on. I mean, none of these scenarios are realistic. There is more than enough land, more than enough resources to feed and house numbers even greater than 8 billion. If the land or resources are misallocated or not properly utilized, or if people choose to huddle together in massive, smelly urban bundles, that's a different problem entirely that cannot be blamed on sheer numbers and also cannot be solved by reducing the numbers. In fact, it's not just that overpopulation is a myth, one invented and propagated by nihilists and eugenicists and Bill Gates, but I repeat myself, it's that the actual crisis we face as a globe, as a world, as a planet, the real apocalyptic cataclysm on the horizon is quite the opposite of overpopulation. Our problem is not that there are too many babies being born, but that there are too few being born. The world's population is getting older. The average age of a human on Earth is a decade older now than it was in even the 1970s. Now, sure, that's partly a product of modern medicine, which is good. People are living longer. But it's also a product of an aging population that isn't having enough babies. And when the median age gets high enough, society becomes top-heavy with more elderly people than there are younger people to care for them. This is a problem that developed countries like Japan are already dealing with. Many others will soon join them. The whole world is trending in that direction.
But y'all
for all the talk about overpopulation, the population is actually projected to start declining by the 2060s as global fertility rates dip below replacement level. Understand this, global populations have never declined due to declining fertility. Okay, we've never seen a decline in the global population because of fertility or lack thereof. The last decline was during the Black Plague 700 years ago, and that was because of a pandemic that wiped out a quarter of human life on the planet. A decline due to people simply not having babies is an entirely different matter, and it's never happened before through the whole history of the human race. And it's not a good sign. Older, slower, top-heavy populations cannot thrive, and after a while, they cannot survive. They can't sustain themselves. Human civilization is right now essentially giving up on itself, throwing in the towel. And this, again, is not a positive development. In the U.S., we're ahead of the population decline curve. We fell below replacement level fertility a couple of years ago, and actually farther ago than that. And we've been notching record low birth rates every year since, or almost. I mean, birth rates hit another record low in 2020, falling 4% below the previous year. However, in 2021, there was a slight uptick of 1%, which is still 3% below 2019. It was the first increase in the birth rate since 2014. That was likely only a function of the fact that the year before that was so low. Overall, the U.S. has been below replacement level, actually, for the most part. And there have been, there are peaks and valleys and everything, but for the most part, it's been below replacement since really the early 1970s. And even with the occasional blip on the radar screen, a spike here and there, we are trending in the wrong direction, and fast. Senator Chuck Schumer, of all people, has noticed this problem, and he made note of it yesterday to reporters when he was giving a press conference. Given that Democrats despise the human species, and especially those members of the species who are residents of their same country, those are the humans that Democrats hate the most, we don't usually hear them lamenting declining birth rates. In fact, they are engineering the decline. So
I just did and I have to, of course, do a lot more research and dig a lot more in it. But just a quick Google search. It says worldwide, because I do agree that overall birth rates are declining, but the way he's framing it is if it's all on the same level, and it's not. The birth rates of white people are drastically different from the birth rates of black people, and more black people are being born in the world than white people. This says quick Google search, and of course, I'm not saying this is gospel, but I'm just saying what I found in the quick Google search. Worldwide birth rates vary significantly by region, with Africa generally having the highest rates, around 4 births per woman, and East Asia and Europe having the lowest, below two, but global data by race is complex, often tracked by country and ethnicity. Within countries like the U.S., Hispanic and black women tend to have higher fertility rates than Asian or white women, influenced by culture, education, and age demographics. Though these rates are converging globally as developing regions see declines. It says global trends, highest fertility, sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria, Somalia shows the highest rates, though they're declining from historical heights. Lowest fertility is East Asia and Europe have the world's lowest rates, often below replacement level, which is 2.1 children per woman. North America and Latin America rates are generally lower than Africa, but higher than East Asia, with Latin America seeing significant declines. So. Well, y'all don't listen. That's my bullshit. You don't find no Hispanics in Europe. Hey, man, y'all don't listen. Y'all don't listen. Y'all don't listen. Back to Matt Walsh, but remember, Matt Walsh is painting a picture as if global birth rates are all the same, declining on the same level. No. Yes, global birth rates aren't what they were, but black people, African people, even Hispanics are still producing more children than whites and Asians.
What has awakened Schumer to this issue? Why does he care about all of a sudden? Well, that becomes obvious pretty quickly when you hear what he had to say and why. Here it is.
Now more than ever, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
So there you go. That explains it. The American population is declining. We are short of workers. The senator is concerned, of course, that there won't be enough people available to mow his lawn and clean his pool and dust his fireplace mantles. And his solution is to import a peasant class, to import them rather than attempt to raise them organically the old-fashioned.
I hear you. Do your thing.
He seeks to replace the American population with illegal immigrants. He wants to replace them, replace us. He wants to replace them on a very large scale. Replace them on a large scale. Even you might say, a large, another synonym would be great. He wants to replace the declining American population on a great scale. Replace on a great scale. So it's like a great replacement, you might say.
Right.
That thing that we're not allowed to notice or mention.
See, he's saying
that's the thing that Chuck Schumer is explicitly advocating for. And by the way, not for nothing, I should also say.
And remember, they didn't the white supremacists didn't come over here, steal this land, and do all this stuff just to let others come and be in control, be in power. But Black Americans, we should also be looking at this influx of immigrants as well. We should also be looking at that.
11 million. We keep hearing 11 million. There are 11 million illegals or undocumented immigrants, as they put it. They've been telling us about the 11 million undocumented immigrants since I was in high school. Okay, that number now is much higher than 11 million. We don't know exactly what it is, but probably closer to 50 million or higher. In any case, there are, of course, other ways to reverse the trend of population decline. And the most simple strategy, and frankly, the most enjoyable, is for us American citizens to get down to business and have babies, lots of babies. I'm not to brag, but I am already pulling more than my fair share of the weight in this arena now that I have 6 kids. And my wife and I have, in our family at least, tripled the replacement rate. And if you really want to encourage more people to have babies, and if you want those babies to have the greatest chance of success in life, that entails more people getting married and getting married younger. So we could create a society that encourages marriage and incentivizes people to start families and to have children. But that is not what we have done. Thanks to Chuck Schumer and his ilk, we've gone exactly the opposite direction. To start with, we kill our babies in the womb. 60 million babies have been killed in the past 50 years or so. That means we've erased not just 60 million human beings. I mean, we've erased 60 million to begin with, but actually we've erased hundreds of millions of potential humans. There's a large portion of those babies, after all, would have grown up and had kids of their own. And soon the kids of those kids would start having kids. Entire family trees have been uprooted and tossed into the incinerator. The loss of human potential is absolutely staggering. And yet Schumer and his party support, fund, and facilitate all of this, even as he laments or pretends to lament the declining populations. Not only that, but Schumer and his party have attacked the nuclear family. They've encouraged sexual perversion and sexual dysfunction. They have invented a human right to subsidized birth control. I mean, they want to give out birth control in middle schools now. They've created an economy that forces millions of women out of the home and into the workplace. Now they're even castrating and sterilizing people, including children, in the name of gender ideology. This is all part of a deliberate plan. There's no escaping that conclusion. And that's to say nothing of the drug epidemic killing millions of Americans killing Americans by the thousands every single year. Violent crime, which is doing exactly the same. They are obviously aware that their policies are wreaking havoc on the birth rate while eliminating en masse those who have managed to be born. They're aware that this creates a crisis situation for the country. And here they are at the ready with the solution, which is to import Democrat voters from the third world. Send in the replacements. I mean, they're right. The great replacement theory is outrageous. It's outrageous to talk about the great replacement theory. And that's because there is no theory here. It's just a fact right in front of our faces. More than 90% of Americans don't get enough fruits, vegetables, and fiber in their diet. We're all basically walking nutritional disasters. That's where Balance of Nature asking Karen Jean-Pierre about the so-called great replacement theory.
To magma. Okay. You believe how you believe, you feel how you feel. Okay. Cool. Now what? Now that you've said everything you said, now what? That's how you feel. Now what? What you gonna do about it?
Just listen to the words that are used here. Very, very telling. Listen.
There's polling that shows 1 in 3 Americans believe in some element of replacement theory. You just spoke in very broad brushstrokes there. Are there specifics that this White House is willing to do, willing to take in order to stop this form of thinking from further seeping out of the fringe and into the mainstream?
So, we're going to continue to call this out. As we have talked about many times, the president at every chance he's had when we've seen a violent attack like this that is, as we say, with hatred and racially motivated, he calls it out and calls it what it is.
What are we going to do to stop this form of thinking? They're not even trying to hide it. How are we going to stop? There's somebody in the press asking this, by the way. How are we going to stop people from thinking like this? And thinking like what exactly? I mean, what is the form of thinking? Well, it's this. It's the so-called Great Replacement theory. And one of the clips I want to play for you on this, and then I have a couple. Actually, I have some examples, in fact, of the Great Replacement theory that I want to present to you. But first, here's Chuck Schumer on the floor of the Senate yesterday, also railing. And there are so many examples we could pull from because this has been the current thing for the Democrats over the last couple of days is the Great Replacement theory, which they're accusing Republicans of engaging in. And so here's just one example: Chuck Schumer on the floor of the Senate railing about it. Listen.
This is replacement theory in a nutshell. It is dangerous and a deeply anti-American worldview. It is poisoning minds, people's minds, who spend hours wandering the darkest wastelands of the internet. And let's be clear, it's a message that has also found a special home in several right-wing outlets, and on one cable news channel in particular, Fox News. In a craven quest for viewers and ratings, organizations like Fox News have spent years perfecting the craft of stoking cultural grievance and political resentment.
Stoking grievance and resentment is, of course, all these people do. That is their entire MO. That's their entire political strategy. They have nothing else to offer. They don't do anything but that. It's just stoke, especially racial grievance and resentment, while he accuses everybody else of doing that. Now, what is the theory here? Well, as I pointed out yesterday, this actually is a theory from the Democrats, and their theory is that whiteness, generally speaking, is something that can be and should be mitigated. It's a disease. That's the theory on the left, is that whiteness is a disease that needs to be cured. And I mean that in a very literal sense. So I'll just give you one example.
So he's basically saying whiteness is not bad. Whiteness is not a bad thing. So he's calling himself white. To Magma, I think you're gonna have to argue with Matt Walsh about his racial classification. I mean, I don't know, maybe your scholarship could help him, but you're gonna have to argue with Matt Walsh about his racial classification because he's saying he white.
Example here, a guy by the name of Donald Moss wrote a paper. This was just last year. Wrote a paper for the Journal of the American Psychoanalytic Association, and we could put this up there for you. This is just the abstract of this paper. This is what he writes. And this, by the way, is totally in keeping with CRT. I mean, this is basically CRT with a little bit of psychobabble, a little bit of extra psychobabble added in. So this is what Donald Moss says. Whiteness is a condition one first acquires, and then one has a malignant parasitic-like condition to which white people have a particular susceptibility. The condition is foundational, generating characteristic ways of being in one's body, in one's mind, and in one's world. Parasitic whiteness renders its host's appetites voracious, insatiable, and perverse. These deformed appetites particularly target non-white peoples. Once established, these appetites are nearly impossible to eliminate. Effective treatment consists of a combination of psychic and social historical interventions. Such interventions can reasonably aim only to reshape whiteness's infiltrated appetites, to reduce their intensity, redistribute their aims, and occasionally turn those aims toward the work of reparation. And then we go forward a little bit, and it says, there is not yet a permanent cure. So this is again, totally consistent. This is not just some fringe concept, totally consistent with CRT. This way of thinking there's a reason why it was published in the Psychoanalytic Journal. It's all over the psychology and psychiatry industry. And he is quite literally saying that whiteness is a parasitic condition for which it is necessary that we find a permanent cure. You find this in the media too. Here's this is Jennifer Rubin at the Washington Post, somewhat infamous tweet from last year. And she was responding to census data, which showed at the time, and as we've seen this in successive census reports, the number of white people falls for the first time. So she's responding to a headline which says, census data shows widening diversity, number of white people falls for the first time. Jennifer Rubin's response, a more diverse, more inclusive society. This is fabulous news. Now we need to prevent minority white rule. So she is responding specifically to a headline that says the number of white people falls for the first time. She says, fabulous news. Now, if for some reason it's not immediately obvious why that's a horrific thing to say, all you have to imagine is if the headline had said, number of black people falls, and then someone had responded and said, fabulous news. So if anyone in media responded that way to the hypothetical headline saying that the number of black people falls, that person would be done forever. All
right, well, we're going to let Matt Walsh stop right there. I ain't going to lie, I'm tired. We've been at this almost 3 hours, 15 minutes. I'm tired. I ain't going to lie. Hey, man, hey, do what you got to do, Mr. White Man. You the white expert. I'll be a joke. Start streaming. Please do. I'm glad I can inspire you. Be a joke. I'm glad I can inspire you. I'm a joke. I got you. Holla at me when you get up here. Holla at me. But anyway, because you're the expert on whiteness. So shout out to you. And thank you. Hey, and thank you for being in my live stream. Since I'm such a joke, thank you for being on my live stream, helping my analytics go up and helping more people see my video with all of your commenting. Because I'm a joke, but you here with me. It's 12:46 at night, and you here with me, but I'm a joke. Shout out to you. I appreciate your support. Hey, so as you can see, we laid the groundwork. Start off with a white guy giving his overview of Roland Martin's book, White Fear, to kind of set the tone of what we're talking about, getting into this great replacement theory. Then we got into Dr. Frances Cress Welsing on the Donahue Show, giving the audience a breakdown of her thesis of white genetic annihilation, the fear of white genetic annihilation. Then we got into to Neely Fuller Jr. talking about white behavior and why killing is necessary. Then we got into Dr. Marimba Ani giving the behavior patterns and the culture and everything behind Yorugu, which is the incomplete man, which is the white supremacists. Then we got into white people. The first white guy is saying, hey, this great replacement theory is out here, and this is what white supremacists are saying is happening. Then we have Matt Walsh, who represents the white supremacist group, saying, hey, the great replacement isn't a theory, it's a real thing. So going back to white fear of genetic annihilation. They were right the whole time. So everybody, yeah, you right, Nemesis, 2016, because nobody did any real groundwork to make sure 2016 started off different. So he could be butthurt. It's all good. We know people are crazy out here. People can be butthurt. You don't say what people like. You don't cater to their feelings and stuff. Big ass children out here. Grow the hell up, people. Some of y'all in this comments real funny. I was laughing. So what we did learn is white people are afraid that they're going to lose power, control, resources, land, all that, because they have negative birth rates, and especially in America, other groups of non-white people are being brought in through immigration, and they're being threatened. They're being threatened on the global level, and they're being threatened on a national level. So that's what it is. So I hope y'all enjoyed this show. Happy New Year. Thank y'all for riding out with me today. Remember, tomorrow, Friday breakdown, 1 p.m. I think y'all gonna enjoy the breakdown that we put out. Shout out to PC, shout out to Pat, shout out to PhD, shout out to everybody who, Brother Terrence, everybody who's come across the show, my brother Rodney, everybody who's ever been a guest on this show. Thank you to all of you all watching this. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Look, I'm here because of you all. This channel is growing because of you all. I appreciate you all inspiring a lot of these shows, helping out behind the scenes, talking to me, encouraging me, everything. I appreciate you all. I want to make 2016 a better year. I want to make 2026, excuse me. I want to make 2026 a better year than 2025. And I need y'all help to do that. So let's get all these likes, comments. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the comments up. Let's get the subscribers up. I'm almost at 100K. Let's get the 100K. Let's hit that hype button and let's keep growing and glowing. Cause we ain't got no choice but to win out here. We ain't got no choice but to win out here. So, as always, my black people, let's make sure that we put our best foot forward. Let's make sure that we be our best. Let's make sure that we're gonna we got to have more conversations about fertility rates. We got to have more conversations about that. I appreciate all y'all being here. We gotta make sure we put our best foot forward. We gotta make sure we be our best, not just consume the information, understand the information, utilize the information, making sure that every day we go out in our everyday lives. And 2016 was a good year. But make sure we go out in our everyday lives and make our lives better, make our community better. Because if every individual isn't doing their job, the team won't work. So you either win as a team or you lose as a team. You already know I'm always saying that. 100K, that's what I'm pushing for next year. I appreciate you all. We're going to get it. We're going to get not just me, but all of us over here. We're going to get everything that we're going after. All the links is in the description below, Mr. Dwight. All the links to support is in the description. I appreciate you and everything. And remember, I got my merchandise up too. So y'all stay safe. Like Nemesis saying, stay safe. Happy New Year to everybody from Huntington Beach, California. That's what's up. Huntington Beach, California. Amen. I holler at y'all. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. See y'all Saturday at 3:30. It's going down. Remember, Saturday at 3:30, we will be revisiting. Hold on. That's right in front of me. I'm tripping. We are revisiting where we're going to do part 2 Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're doing part 2 of Tithes Over Truth, how the black church abandoned the people. But this time we're going to talk about more of the influence of the white supremacists on the black church. So see y'all Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Holla at you. Oh, hey, 2 Magma, man. Hold on. I gotta do it right. I appreciate that. I appreciate
all this money, homie. I got all this money, homie.
Nah, I appreciate that. And hey, man, you get your YouTube channel up, holla at me. I'm gonna give you some tips. That's how we do it over here. It's okay to disagree, but we ain't gonna hate on each other. And it's all good. Seriously though, this is my email. Y'all you get your channel started. I give you some tips and everything. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the support. And we gonna do what we do. Yeah, I'm about to go eat me some boiled peanuts and lay it down. I'll holla at y'all, man. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. Y'all be great. Everybody out there, be great.